Looks like we are live. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to wait and make sure the audio is still okay. I didn't change it from what we decided the settings worked well on Friday, but this is still very new, the whole wireless mic thing. So I want to get your feedback, make sure everything sounds okay. The new lavalier, the better one, I guess, it's actually by Rode, which goes with the Rode wireless system. That one comes on Friday, so I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know if it'll be here by the time the live stream happens. There's always a delay, so I'm sitting here rambling until I hear if the audio is okay. I can check it on my end, but only to an extent, because half the time it'll look fine on my end, and then turns out it is not. So, okay, Richard said audio is fine. Audio, okay, good. So before we get started, just a quick, you guys are used to this, but really this little announcement is for people who watch later on. This tutorial is a chat. We are going to chat while I paint. So if it irritates you that I talk too much, or someone went off on me last week that I was an ugly person because I talked badly to spoke badly to subscribers who complained about my free content, made me an ugly person. She's been blocked. She won't be back. But the point is, it happens a lot where people are not aware that we chat in these. That's kind of the point. We chat while painting. So if that is not what you're looking for, check out patreon.com/Lachri. We're not chatting in that. It's just a straight, this is what I'm painting. This is what I'm doing. So that is probably going to be a better fit for you if you're just looking for the lesson and not the social interaction, which is what we do here on the live stream. So definitely a bit different. What does a box, Angel said, what does a box frame look like? I looked it up on Google and came up with different results. A box frame? I don't know what you mean by box frame. An open frame is probably what you're thinking of, and that is just a frame that doesn't have glass. So you pop the canvas in through the back. They have different tools you can use to attach it so it stays in there. But it's probably an open frame. You also have a box canvas where it's a thick canvas. So I think you may be mixing those two together. Let's see. Joseph said, I got an Echo and a Hue light starter kit for my birthday, and now 5 minutes before stream starts, all my lights turn teal and lights are awesome. That is so cool. I got scared for a minute. I'm like, an Echo, crap. Am I echoing worse than usual? That is awesome. Oh, I need to do that. That would be fun. That is too cool. Okay, so tonight we are on to part 3. If you missed parts 1 and 2, part 1 we did the background and the branch. Part 2 was last week, we did his face. Today we are going to work on his body. I don't know how far we'll get in. We'll see. Let's see. Are the Dowler and Rowney System 3 acrylic good? No, they are crap. Do not recommend them. Melinda said, your chats are what I find so inspiring. You give so much good information. Thank you. Plus, they're fun. They're entertaining for me. So, that's what we do. Lori said, I look forward to the social interaction every week. Thanks, Lisa. You're welcome. And thanks for joining. Okay, painting. I think I'm ready. I think I have everything set up. We'll see. But the good thing is now I'm so in love with this whole wireless mic thing. The fact that I can get up and walk into the other room if I forgot something and still keep talking to you guys is kind of amazing. Or I can sit here and throw my paintbrushes on the floor. What fell? Oh, you're a good one. I don't want to break you. Okay. So for this guy, we're going to be starting with his chest and the edges of his wings here. And I think I'm just going to use a rake brush to get the feathers blocked in. So what a rake brush is. This one, let me find him. I had him put to the side somewhere. Ooh, coffee. That's more important. Hey, Chris is here. If you guys have not checked out Chris Dunlop's channel, also, I'm a jerk. I should probably be mentioning our moderators channels first. Okay, so Chris Dunlop draws cars, and they're freaking amazing. Check out his channel. Check out Joseph's channel, The Art of Joseph Fincham, and Nick Edgar. Nick and Joseph's channels are linked in the video description. Definitely check them out. They all have art channels. They're amazing. There, now I'm not a jerk. I realized that the other day. I have a tendency to forget to mention Joseph and Nick's channels. I mean, you guys probably are already subscribed, but still, they help out a lot. It's, we should also go subscribe to them. Ooh, I did not take care of this brush. So this is a rake brush. Oh, here, let's put it up against the paper towel and see if that will work to where you can see it. Okay, let's see. Can you see? Kind of. There you go. See how the ends are frayed, depending on how I hold it? that is going to, in one brush stroke, I'm going to get a whole lot of little brush strokes, depending on how much pressure I add, how much water I add, you know, other factors. But this, with one brush stroke, I can get a whole lot of little tiny details. So that is the one that I'm going to use here. Now, the thing with the brush, hopefully I didn't ruin it too much. The one I like, I can't find right now. My favorite is one from, who is it? Low Cornell is my favorite rake brush. But this one, the thing with the rake brush, and where a lot of people go wrong with these, is that they overdo it. They think that they're going to do all the detail with this. No, this I use as a base. Then I'm going to go back through with a liner brush to clean those up and form them better. If you only do your, let's say, fur, grass, feathers in this case, if you only use a rake brush, you get too uniform of a look, which is not going to look natural. So we're going to use this as a base, and then we'll come through around the edges and kind of pull everything into better shape, more random shapes. Random when it comes to things in nature is a big deal. Let's see. Karen said, the chats are what make it fun. That's what live streams are for. Love you to the moon and back. Thank you. Melinda said, I choose wine as my beverage for these chats. That is awesome. I would too, but I'm on the whole low calorie thing for, I don't know how many more months till I hit my goal. A few more months. So me and wine have had to separate ways for most days. I used to have it every night. Now it's like, I'd rather have food than wine with my budget. So yeah, I'm sitting here whining, that was really cheesy, because of my lack of nightly wine. Anyway, okay, so using the rake brush, it is similar to a liner brush. It's like a whole bunch of little liner brushes. In order for this brush to work well, you have to have a decent amount of water mixed in. If you don't, it's just going to work. If you, I should have a scrap piece of canvas over here, because I think this is actually kind of a cool thing to show you guys for anyone interested. Hold on, I can actually walk across the room now. Let me see if I've got a dark piece of paper or canvas or something over here that I can use. Maybe. I don't know if this little cardboard thingy will work, but let's try it out. Piece of foam board. This is really dry, so it's not going to be ideal, but it may be enough to show you what I'm trying to show you. So let's go ahead. Hi, Shaz. Angel said, when I look at very sophisticated detail, when I zoom in on it, it's actually clumps of highlights and shadows. Yep, that is all it is. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see, pulling that window so I can see if I'm actually showing you guys what I'm trying to show you. So thin, I did not, okay, getting up again. I barely put any water in my water thing. That's not gonna fly for the night. Hold on, let's fill this. This is what happens when you fill water in the dark. You think there's more in there than there actually is, apparently. Okay, I really thought I was ready. Like I was actually bored earlier. I was hanging out with chicken, killing time before the stream. And here I am, not ready at all. Okay, so we'll just use some unbleached titanium white. That is not the brush I wanted. Why did I grab you? Oh God, I'm a hot mess. Where did I put that brush? Here we go. Oh my gosh. So with this brush, if I use it, if I load it where there's just a whole lot of paint on it, I'm gonna get a brush stroke closer to what I would with a filbert, or just a normal filbert. If I add a little bit more water and I don't push as hard, the goal there is a whole bunch of little strokes. See the difference you get in that? But I've got to thin it out with water in order for that to work and not push as hard. So those are the two things you want to keep in mind when using a rake brush. And like I said, it is going to be very uniform. So keep that in mind. You can't depend solely on a rake brush, because you look at that and think, oh my gosh, what an easy way to create fur. Create the base of your fur. You still need to go back through and form your clumps and clusters of that fur on top of it. Let's see. And just as a reminder, if you do have a question, make sure to do the @Lachri Fine Art. If it does not highlight my name in orange, I just won't see the question. Not because I'm trying to ignore you, but I will be ignoring you. Not on purpose. I just won't see the question. Okay. So let's get started with, he's really got a lot of just white, so I'm going to do the white on that. Now, I don't care if the feathers are exact to the reference photo. My goal here is to have the feathers move in the general shape, be about the right size. That is what matters more. I don't need to sit there and go 15 feathers going this way, 14 this way, half an inch this way, and the little weird divots in there. None of that is a big deal. The goal here, we want to get variation, but we want that variation to look, it's almost like a faux finish where it still looks like those feathers. It just doesn't have to be those exact feathers. Let's see. Jason said, Lisa, you got your wine in without the calories and no mind alterations. I think it's win-win. Oh, but mind alterations. Let's see. Shaz says, wow, you have lost so much weight. Congratulations. LOL, wish I could be as strong as you. Thank you. Yeah, it was easier than I thought it was. It's been, well, I mean, with COVID, no one's really going and hanging out and doing a whole lot. So not eating, due to social interactions is definitely made it easier, but thank you. Okay, so we're just going to start forming and clumping and letting things overlap. And I'm letting some of the green of the background show through. That is important. So what that's accomplishing a couple of things. One, whenever you put a subject and you change the background, the colors are going to shift. They're going to be different than what's on your reference photo. So this reference photo, this one came from Pixabay, I believe. There's my air compressor. This one, it had this kind of a yellowy green. It's me, so we went with more of a turquoise color or teals. And so I need to have those teals in my subject. What better way than just let the background show through? We can just let that work for us. Now I can come back through and glaze teal. You want to pull whatever background color you changed, in my case, the teals. I want to make sure those teals are included into the subject because that's going to reflect off, especially the white of the feathers. You want to make him feel like he's a part of the background. So let's say you went with a purple background, then you need to let purple show through or paint purple into your feathers to make him look like he's a part of that. So here, letting my darker greens, I'm not only getting deep, like just easy detail, I'm also keeping the color to make him look like he's a part of the scene. So, and I'll glaze later, but it definitely helps. Let's see. Whoops, that just jumped. Where were we? Caution, artist at a play said, are you sure it's the Daler and Roney System 3 that you hate? I asked because they have them for 15 years and I find them comparable to basics. I hate the Daler Roney simple acrylics though. Maybe I'm confusing them. I don't have a lot of respect for that company in general. I've never used any of their products and thought, wow, this is nice. So I'm not a huge fan of anything I've tried from there. And the only ones that I've tried, I didn't actually go out and purchase. I had students bring them to the class. So it is possible they were different. I will give you that. I may be wrong there. Zia said, hi Lisa, what do you think about having two different techniques on one painting, making a peacock with impressionistic feathers and background and realism for head and neck? Any thoughts? I think it's awesome and I've done that. I mixed pop art and realism in one piece with a cheetah and I really liked how it came out. I've mixed more abstract with realism and liked how that came out. So you can definitely mix two styles. The thing is to come up with balance. And that can be a challenge. Like it can be distracting if one of those styles is overpowering the other. So figuring out how you're going to mix them together. But I think mixing two styles looks amazing if done well or done right. Angel said, I'd rather watch you than paint an art class. Nice. Danae said, when I tried to blend dark colors with lots of layers using OMS and polychromos, I always end up lifting too much pigment despite using very little OMS suggestions. That could be there's so many factors in there. It may be a difference of the type of paper that you're using, the amount of pressure you're using. Trying to think what else would factor in here. If let me read that again. When I tried to blend dark colors with lots of layers, see, that's what it's coming into. The lots of layers, the paper could be a difference, but lots of layers. The more layers you get in, you're still using too much OMS. It gets to the point when I get into final layers, if I've got a lot of layers on there is the paintbrush that I use the OMS on is almost completely dry at that point. Very little. And you will, even at the end, sometimes you just don't even need to blend if it's already been blended out enough. So keep that as a possibility too, if it's too big of a problem. Let's see. Melinda said, I'm down 24 pounds since July 1st. Walk extra to drink a glass of wine. Nice. Yeah, well, I'm down I say 16, but that's because I hit a certain point and I refuse to get on the scale again. It's probably more like 18 or 19-ish that I've lost. And I don't know why I didn't get on the scale. I should have right before I started this, but it was just like, it's too much and I don't even want to know at this point. So now I'm regretting that. But we walk already extra just so that I can have a little bit more food. So, turns out I like food more than I like wine. I didn't expect that. I thought it would be the other way around. But I recently, so this is one of my favorite right now low calorie foods, and you get a lot of it. I've been, instead of the like normal bowls I've been eating the bowls of like rice and just different bowls that I get, the frozen ones. This, I've been making riced cauliflower with a bit of beef and snow peas and soy sauce, gluten-free soy sauce. Oh my God, it is my favorite thing in the world right now. I've been eating it multiple times a day, and it's like 2 cups worth of food, which is kind of a lot for most of the low calorie stuff that I've been eating. And it's only 220 calories, and it's amazing. It's so good. I'm really obsessed. And that was already something I liked a lot, but the cauliflower rice, I honestly can't tell that big of a difference between that and rice, and I like cauliflower anyway. It doesn't taste like cauliflower, but it's really, really good. And that is my new obsession. And I would rather walk extra. Like if I walk extra, I want an extra bowl of that more than wine. Maybe. Part of me says my priorities are good, but part of me is, I'm questioning that because I really thought the wine would be more important to me than it is. Lottie said, how do you install the canvas drop cloth that you use as wall decoration with the fairy lights, etc.? So that was back in my apartments. And what I did, I went and got, I went to the hardware store, and they have, it's kind of like a wood trim. I don't know what it was called, but I used that. I painted it, and I made essentially a big frame like I would if I was going to stretch a normal canvas. And I stretched that, loosely stretched it because this stuff kind of bends. But I stretched the canvas. I painted the canvas first how I wanted. Just laid it out flat, stretched it, and then, or painted it, dried it, and then stretched it over those bars from the back, and then like slice it along the edge. Very similar to how I would do a canvas, but again, looser because the bar things I got were really flimsy, but we got the wrong kind. But anyway, I used that, and then I got sheer fabric, put that over in between each of those panels, and stuck those LED fairy lights behind it. And the LED ones are the ones you want to go with because those ones didn't give off any heat. You don't want like normal lights that would be hot and then have fabric right up against it. That would concern me. But yeah, that is how I did that. Here, I just painted the wall because it was easier to paint a wall than do that project. Let's see. Shaz said, I have just started a baby dragon for a granddaughter. You think I should do background first, maybe with my airbrush? Seeing your owl background looks amazing. Thoughts? I would. I like doing my background first for a couple of reasons, and it's going to be personal preference. I've seen artists do the opposite, and it works out fine. Hold on. Is this an important notification? I need to see really quick if I need to transfer money for my husband because I just got a Chase notification. Come on. Oh, no, it's fine. So he doesn't have access to some of the accounts so funny story. My husband thinks if there's money in the account that there's money to spend. So I have to not transfer that much all at once, or he will spend all our bill money thinking, oh, there's money in the bank, not realizing like house payment hasn't come out yet. So anyway, little games I play with myself. But anyway, back to the background on the dragon thing. A lot of artists have different preferences. I have a couple of reasons that I prefer this. Well, now with acrylics, you don't have time to blend around your background. You're not going to get smooth blending if you like paint the subject and then paint the background. Plus, being messy, trying to get it smooth, you're going to end up painting over the subject that you put all that detail in. It just doesn't make practical sense for this style of painting for me. Now, if you were airbrushing, you could mask out your subject and airbrush around it, but then you've got to go back over your subject, the edges, and like overlap that so that you get that natural feel. So, it's just not my preference to paint the subject first that way. The other reason I like to get my background, it makes it so much easier for me to judge my values in the owl. So let's say I painted the owl against the white background. More likely than not, I'm not going to be dark enough. I'm going to feel like everything I did was almost too dark. And in reality, it wasn't dark enough because I didn't have the contrast of the background to judge those values against. So there are a few reasons that I prefer doing it this way. If it were me, yeah, I'd go in and do the background and then come back in with the detail on the subject. But like I said, I know plenty of artists who don't work that way, and it always surprises me when I see like some wildlife artists too, but it works for them. They tend to be a little bit of a looser style than mine, so that may be part of it. Like if their brushstroke show, it doesn't matter. Oh, come back. It just scrolled too far. Where were we? Daniela said, hi, Lisa. I'm working on my first colored pencil piece. Was wondering what what do I need to purchase to make the touch-up titanium white mixture from brush and pencil? You need the touch-up texture. It comes in like a little nail polish bottle, and titanium white powder. That's it. Oh, and a brush. So the brush that I like the best, do I have it over here, is a synthetic hog-haired liner brush. This one is Master's Touch. It's the generic from Hobby Lobby. And I love these. I have a link for them on, I need to put the link on I need to update so much on my website, but I have a link for them on my acrylic painting supply list, assuming Hobby Lobby didn't change their site. I'm not affiliated or anything, so it's not like, I don't make anything from encouraging you guys to buy that brush. It's just amazing. It's like one of my favorite liner brushes I've ever used. And no, wait, I'm not even wording that right. It's not one of my favorite liner brush. It is my favorite liner brush. Nothing else compares for me. Let's see. Casey said, hey, Lisa, how has your week been? Any more crazy storms or floods? We've been having storms. Gibson's going to miss his walk tonight. He's not going to be happy. So I think I might be able to get in 2 walks tomorrow for him. They haven't been crazy storms, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't want to walk in it. It's been nice. The weather has been so much cooler, which is really, I am a fan of the cooler weather. I don't like cold weather, but you know, it's not 100 degrees, so that's nice. Oh, this actually layers over the branch a little. Should pay attention, huh? Yeah, my week's been good. I don't have any fun stories, really. I don't think anything very exciting has happened. Oh, my frog tank, it looks like they said, now keep in mind, they said that the frog tank would be done. I went in at the end, the very, very end, like the last week of June, I believe, and they said that it would take like a few weeks to get done. The end of June, September. So not a few weeks. This stuff came up. I get it. It's not that big of a deal because I mean, not a huge rush. But anyway, so keep that in mind when they say it should be ready in a week. Probably not, but they said so. So they said they've gotten a lot done on it. I have not seen photos yet. They were supposed to, like the original plan, because I wanted to make videos out of it. And I'm like, it'll be, you know, promote your store too. Not that they need it. The store's always busy, but they were going to film it. They were going to, you know, be sending me photos that I could use for social media to share with you guys with the progress. I thought that would be fun. They didn't do any of that. They sent me one photo at one point and that was it. So that won't be, you probably won't see anything about it until it gets here. So yeah, that's my only story. Oh, I got some new plants, but that's really nothing new. Let's see. Paul said, I hope you're okay because I heard there are storms coming. Yeah, we've got a bunch of storms hit. Hold on. Why? My phone is just like trying to do all kinds of crazy stuff right now. No, go away. Yeah, we've got a lot of rain, but sorry, I have an itchy eye, so I'm going to shove my finger in my eye because I am a classy lady. Yeah, no, we do have a bunch of storms, but I don't think they'll be terrible. We have a few streets out here that will flood, so there may be times you don't leave home, but I don't really leave home anyway, so that doesn't mean. The only thing that it's really going to affect me is not being able to go on walks like we usually do, which means Gibson's going to follow me around, pestering me nonstop. I can let him out and show him that it's raining, and he doesn't want to walk in the rain. We tried that once. He did not like it. But he's still we'll come back in the house, and he's instantly like, okay, let's go now. Like, he instantly forgets it's raining. So for being as smart of a dog as he is, sometimes he does some questionable things. Danae said, is Arches Hot Press a good paper for the OMS blending technique? Yeah, Arches Hot Press I really like. So if you've just got a lot of color on there, you just either don't use OMS at all to blend at that point. Maybe you're at a stage now that burnishing would be the better way to go. Or the brush, just let it have almost like, I dip it in the paint thinner, dry it off as much as possible on the paper towel, and then just keep letting it dry out on its own until it has almost nothing. Belinda said, love cauliflower rice for everything. Yeah, I'm starting to use it more and more. That was one of the things my husband was out right now at the grocery store looking for, because I've been eating all of mine. I wasn't sure if I would like that or rice more in that little dish I've been making with the soy sauce. But I do, and now I'm eating a crap ton of it, so we are out. Let's see. Celine said, I have a problem with my paintbrush frame, big from the sides. My flat brushes always do it, and it's a big problem. Need help. You're not cleaning your brushes well enough. So 2 things. 1, you leave your brush sitting in water. So like here's your cup of water, and the brush is sitting like this in it. that will cause so much. I mean, within seconds, you're starting to damage that brush of leaving. Never, ever, 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 even for just a few seconds, leave a brush sitting there. I mean, seriously, within 30 seconds or so, you've started to fray those bristles. Don't soak it in there, nothing. The brush never sits in your water, ever. And it's a habit that a lot of us have to break. The other thing that'll do it is, and I'm starting to here, which I want on this brush because I want it frayed, but see how I'm getting paint up here? No matter how well I clean this brush, because I've allowed it to start building up near right where the bristles connect to the brush, the paint gets in there, and no matter how well I try to clean it, it's going to start poofing out. It's going to start fraying. So you want to clean your brush as good as possible, and ideally use brushes that have longer bristles. So you can see on this one, this is where it's mostly kept clean. Here back, you can see the color difference. And then here, where I usually have the paint. Try to keep the paint away from this area. So those two things will make a big difference. And never store your brushes upside down sitting that way. You're also going to fray them that way. Kate, come back, Casey. Where did you go? Casey said, I got sent home with an apple pie on Sunday. I got to Monday thinking I could ration and then decided it would be better to eat it all at once. Lots of exercise to make up for that. You know, the problem, and this was what I always did too, exercise doesn't actually burn that much. Like, it may earn me a muffin, and these are very low calorie. They're vegetable muffins pretty much. But I always would do that, like, oh, I just need to work out more. And then now that I've been counting calories and I look at, like, I kept getting nachos from Fuzzy's, the nacho plate. It's like my entire day's worth of food in one meal, and I was eating like 2 of those a day. And even thinking if I worked out, there's no way I can work out enough to burn off an extra 1,200 calories. So yeah, working out, unfortunately, I don't blame you. I would have done it too, but it doesn't burn enough to like really do as much as we think it does. Like, it's funny, I'll watch, my friend keeps sending me links in different dieting groups, and people will be like, I went and had a Big Mac and a Coke today because I had a good workout this morning. And this is somebody who's trying to lose weight, and it's like, your workout did not make up that Coke and Big Mac, I promise you. It doesn't burn as much calories as you think it does. I'm jealous of the pie though. I'm maybe more of a cherry pie fan. I have not had cherry pie in probably 15 years because I've not found a gluten-free one. They just never, I'm sure they make them now, but I never looked for them. I think once the whole diet thing is like, I can have more calories, I'm going to go hunt down a gluten-free cherry pie because that is my favorite. Let's see. George said, I'm taking an art break since I finished my sister's 2 dogs on Monday. Nice, congratulations. So I'm learning acrylics by watching tonight with wine in one hand and chocolate in the other. Oh, I'm so jealous. That's just so mean. Chris said, plus if you are masking, then you have to mask, and that is so much fun. Oh, masking things off. Chris knows, Chris airbrushes. Masking things off, I will do anything possible to avoid having to mask stuff off. I know how to do it. I'm good at it. Dear God, is it time consuming to do well? Like, it is just, I don't like masking things. It is such a pain in the butt. It is so time consuming. Let's see. Shaz said, okay, you have convinced me. I will stop and airbrush my background first. I did consider it, but wasn't certain about the background colors. Now I will much before much dragon has been painted. I think it's a good idea. Whoops, come back. Who was next? Heather said, are you using Inktense for Friday's project? No, I'm using, oh, did I not update it right? I'm using Lux Archival. I'm going to be working on sanded paper. You can use Inktense if you want, because you would just use a bit of a different technique. I'd considered going with black paper for that one, but then decided I have not used pan pastels in a while, and colored pencil. So I'm going to go with Lux Archival. Paul said, I have tried masking fluid in acrylics. I hate the look. I've never done masking fluid in acrylics. I've done it when I do colored pencil and airbrush. Normally, if I'm going to mask something with acrylics, I use Frisket, which works, and you use a razor blade to cut things out. And it's just a pain and time consuming, and then it folds in half sometimes. Then you have to throw that away and start over because you weren't being careful enough in the first place. Gonna blame the wine. But yeah, actually, I'm just kidding. The times that happened, I was not drinking wine. But yeah, it's a lot it's a lot. Daniela said, with the colored pencil piece I'm working on, I transferred on my image for the first time, and I'm having to fight the transfer paper lines. Do you have any tips for covering it? No, because I never use the transfer paper method for colored pencil. In that case, I will use a graphite pencil like a 4H graphite pencil, so it's super, super light. So I'm never fighting that. And what I typically will do, if I don't want to freehand it, I'm going to, or even if I did freehand it and I want to transfer, like, so I get clean lines, I'm going to either trace over, like I'll just tape it to my computer monitor and trace over the image that way, or use a projector to get it onto the subject. So the transfer paper is just too dark. I don't like trying to fight with that with colored pencil. That's a bit too much. And like my whole point, if I'm going to use tracing and transfer paper with acrylics, is that it keeps everything nice and clean. With colored pencil, well, technically, yes, you can do that. It's giving you something you're fighting against to try to make it clean, because of those lines are pretty heavy. You can try erasing them before you start with a colored pencil over any given area. That would be my only real tip. So, because you're still going to see them a little bit. Sarah said, I make a sauce that's almond butter based with soy sauce, sriracha, honey, lime juice, and fresh garlic. My mom used it with stir fry. Come back. This sounded good. It sounded tasty. And it scrolled. It just jumped. Where were you, Sarah? There you are. Stir fry with rice noodles. Oh, I bet that's amazing. Meek said, so after you burnish polychromos pencils, you cannot use OMS. Huh? No, you can use OMS even if you've burnished. You're not going to get many more layers after it, but you can definitely burnish if you wanted to. I mean, use OMS. Melinda said, I track everything using my Fitbit. Me too. And maintain a 1,000 calorie deficit. It's difficult some days. The kind of calories make a difference for me. Low carb. Yeah, that's what I did. I did the 1,000 deficit for the first 12 pounds. And then I switched because it was pretty extreme because I don't burn many calories. So it was a bit too, like there were days I wasn't even allowed, like if I did 1,000 calorie deficit, I couldn't even have 1,000 calories that day, which was extreme. So after the 1,200 or lost 12 pounds, I switched to a 750 deficit. So that's what I've been sticking to. And my next goal is in 6 more pounds. And then I think I'm going to switch to a 500 deficit. And then I can just be a lot slower and more comfortable with that deficit. But I've kind of hit that plateau stage where it's all slowed down a lot. So I don't know how long that's going to take me to hit that area. But at that stage, when I can go to a 500 deficit, I can start having wine again. Or more food. I'll probably still end up going with more food. Rose said, what's your opinion on the Montmartre brand? I've never heard of it, so I don't have one. I cannot help you. I'm sorry. Joseph said, okay, yeah, if you make sure to do the @Lachri fine art. If my name doesn't highlight in orange, I just don't see your question. I'm not trying to ignore you, but that's what will happen. Nancy said, and if you can't get it to work, I understand. I can't either. Ask one of the mods or somebody to ask for you. No judgment, because seriously, I can't get it to work half the time either. Nancy said, last live chat, you said you encourage people to move to Texas. Why is Texas so great? And are there particular areas you recommend? Please paint a surreal piece. I do need to do a surreal piece soon. I've got another portrait coming up soon. And I need to do another oil portrait, like really soon. And this is still going to show. Yeah, you'll see this. Maybe because I need to do an acrylic piece in between. And so maybe I'll do something surreal because it has been a really long time. Maybe that's what I'll do after I finish this portrait, in between this and the next portrait. I like it. Why Texas? The way that our laws and stuff, I don't want to get into politics or anything too much, but the way things are set up is very good for business, which is good for the state in turn. Like everything works together really well. So it's a really good place to have a business. It's good for that. I like the people. I really like the people here. Like I was impressed with how nice people were when we first moved. Like just polite, which was weird because Southern California was not so polite. Like me and my husband went to the movies one night, back when that was a thing. And these teenage boys opened the door for us. And my husband and I looked at each other like, what in the world? This is Twilight Zone here. Like in my neighborhood, I'll be walking Gibson and like kids will be riding by on their bike and they're like saying hi and nice dog. And like I feel like I'm in one of those weird movies where everybody's just super weirdly nice. And maybe it's just the area I'm in. I don't know. I like that. Clouds. Dear God, we have the prettiest clouds. I'm sure other places had clouds. California didn't have pretty clouds. Occasionally. Here it's almost every day. You have these amazing looking, like just beautiful clouds. So I love that as far as the scenery goes. The cost of living here, that was a big difference that's why we initially moved here. So that's kind of amazing. I wouldn't be able to have a house like this in California and not in a neighborhood like this. So like the safety reasons, the safety was probably one of my biggest pulls. So oops, wrong mouse. Everything from California to here was very different. Like I can walk any time of day or night here. In California, even the day, half the places you went were safe. So like women were having things happen in the parks in the day. Like it was not safe. So Texas, just things are different here as far as that goes. Let's see, where were we? Paul said, Lisa, how do I price my painting? Any tips? Not really. I have a video. I would say go watch that video. That has the most information for you. Look up Lachri and how to price your artwork. I think it's on there. And I do it by square inch. So that is a good starting place. But the thing with pricing your artwork, it's not just about, and new artists, myself included when I first started, this was a thing with me. We all value, and you'll see this too in like Facebook Marketplace, people value the things they have more than what they're actually worth. And as artists, we are definitely quite often in the beginning, we typically do that even though we haven't built a name for ourselves yet. With art, so much of how much your work will sell for comes down to how much of a demand there is, how popular you've made yourself, how have you marketed yourself, do people know who you are? If not, you're going to have a hard time getting those sales. So even if you're as good as the next artist, let's say you've got an artist and they're selling their work for $1,000, like an 11 by 14 went for $1,000 for an original. If you are new, even if you're as good as that person, you've not put in the time to build a following or an audience like that artist did, yours isn't going to sell for that much. Yours may only sell for $100. It's a significant difference because of how you build and market yourself. And that's really where most artists fail in becoming professional artists. They may become amazing. They may be super, super skilled, but most artists fail in learning the business and marketing side of art, in learning how to get those sales. And that's, something to keep in mind. Your work it depends on how much of a following you've got and how much of a demand there is for your work. I always recommend start off selling a little bit, lower and slowly raise your price as the demand arises. And I talk about why and all of that in that video. But one of the things you can do is look at somebody else who's kind of got about the same amount of followers you do. Maybe look at their social media, like Instagram. Do they have the same as you? And see what they're selling their work for. Their work is comparable. Be realistic. A lot of people tend to think that we're better than what we are. I did the same when I was younger. I definitely thought my work was so amazing. And looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have listened to the gallery owner. She knew what she was talking about. And she was correct. She was able to sell my work for what she told me she could sell it for. It didn't sell for what, like I had one painting and it meant, the painting meant a lot to me. So when she was like, how much do you want to price this at? I told her, I think in my head, I'm thinking closer to $1,000. And she's like, I'd go more $250. It's not likely going to, and she was right. It didn't sell for $500. I think it ended up selling for about $250. And actually that one I ended up selling on eBay. But we tend to overvalue that. Now, on the flip side, I also see artists who undervalue their work. I'm not saying start out selling something that you spent weeks on for $100. It doesn't make sense. So you've got to find a balance there too. It depends on the type of work that you're creating. If you're spending weeks and weeks and weeks on one piece and it's really, let's say it's photorealism and it just takes a ton of time for you to do that, you can't make it, it doesn't make sense for you to sell it for $50 or $20 or whatever. So I'm not saying to underprice to that extent, but a lot of times in the beginning, it's just not going to sell for quite as much as we might like it to. So we've got to find that balance. We definitely have a lot of artists who I'll look at their work and they're like, yeah, I'm selling this for $75. And I'm like, you're high. You have to be high. Come on, you've got to support that drug habit. It costs more. That's inappropriate joking, Lisa. Don't make jokes. But it's like that. There's no way you can make, that doesn't make sense either. So you don't want to go too low. You don't want to go too high. And that is not helpful at all because you're like, well, what's a good price? In the beginning, when I was selling my work, the high end was about $250. I'd been painting for maybe 8 years, like professional, like that was my job for maybe 8 years before I sold a painting for 1,200. So it takes time to get to the point where there's a demand enough for the work. Now, will say that was before the internet. So there is, well, the internet was just getting started when I sold the more expensive one, but it had nothing to do with the internet. You can build a following much faster now if you focus on the business and marketing side. It doesn't have to take you as long as it used to. I mean, they used to tell artists that you would be about 40 years old before your artwork, you would really start becoming successful with your work. And that was pretty true back then. But now, because of the internet, you can do it way faster. You can do it within a couple of years. Like, it does not need to take that long. But you've got to build that following to get yourself to that stage. So finding that balance of, you don't want to charge too little, but also be realistic, and your work is not, if you're new, is not going to be as valued as somebody who's equally as skilled, but has a following, has a demand for their work. So, you've got to balance that out. And one of the tips is find somebody else who's comparable to you, and you can kind of get an idea of what is their work selling for. And comparable both in their following, their social media following, and their style and skill level and all of that. I rambled about that for a very long time. Okay, let's see. Scrolling up because this just jumped. Okay, so Lean said, I don't do anything you say, but I'm having trouble. I don't do anything you say, but I'm having trouble keeping the top of the brush from paint, like you said, but it's also getting up in there. How does General's brush cleaner help? How does it work? If your paint is getting up in here, like mine is, your brush cleaner is going to help to an extent, not that much. I mean, you can't, you want to keep the paint out of there. And ideally, if that's really a problem for you, you want longer bristles. That's going to make a bigger difference for you in keeping those brushes in good condition longer. So a brush, let me see if I've got any over here that would be a good example. We'll just use the liner brush. This one I don't love because his bristles aren't, okay, here we go. See how long the bristles are on this? Super long. Yeah, that should show. Look how long that is. And a lot of people think, well, I want a liner brush, so I need these teeny tiny bristles to get more detail. No, long. You want long because it's going to be a lot easier to keep the paint on the end of the brush. So that sounds like your bigger thing. Yes, brush cleaners will help. Kinda. They're better than nothing, but they definitely will keep your brushes lasting longer and better condition. But if your paint is getting up in that area, you've got to stop that from happening. If you just have to stop that from happening. Shaz said, Monte Marte is a cheap Australian brand. I never would consider it the best artist quality. Okay for students and learning. Huh, there you go. That would explain why I've never heard of it. Rusty said, have you ever used sponges to paint? I have. I don't use them too often anymore. They're just too much of a pain to clean, and I'm like, it just doesn't sound fun to me. But yes, no, they are a good thing to use. You can get some cool effects with them. Sarah said, my mom is also making crustless quiche. The texture is so good, I don't even miss the crust. Nice. I'm jealous. You guys are making me hungry. Heather said, make my ex move out of Texas and I will move out there. I would love to be down there with you. And I have 2 other friends in Texas. Texas is the size of most countries. So, depending on which area he's in, probably not going to be a problem. This place is huge. It's funny because people will be like, oh, let's go down to Houston. People who aren't from Texas, or they don't understand, like, can we just go down to, or San Antonio? Because that was always, the artsy place. Yeah, that's like 4-hour drive. Texas is not little. You don't just go, it's huge. I'm up in the Dallas area, north of Dallas, Melinda. What is the best piece I have ever painted? My favorite is probably the lion with the coral mane and the fish. That I think would be the one that, to me, like it combines some of my best skill as far as painting fish and coral, which is something I have a lot of experience with creative, being something unique and creative. So I would say that's probably my best. Let's see. Chris said, good Lord, what part of Cali were you in? I lived all over the country and really love it here. But of course, everyone loves different things. Well, you live down at the beach. So that is why. Orange County is very different than in the Inland Empire. I was in Rancho Cucamonga, so borderline LA County and San Bernardino, and I grew up in Claremont, by the Claremont colleges. So we were in a good area, but then you cross the street, like we were up against Town Avenue, and you'd cross the street and you've got Pomona, like really bad area of Pomona there. And so they would come over to our side. It was not safe. Yeah, Orange County is very different than the Inland Empire, that's for sure. Jason Ellis said, Lisa, Texas is cool. Maybe if I'm on one side and my sister stays on the other. Nancy says, thanks, Lisa. Those are the things I hope to hear about Texas, considering moving. Oh, I love it here. The only complaint, okay, I have two complaints weather-wise here. What do I need? I need brown or grayish brown. I'm just going to use a normal filbert to start blocking in some of the feathers over here. But the two complaints I have, one in the summer, so it's just as hot here as it is in California in the summer. But in the summer in California, once that sun starts going down, it starts cooling off. So once, dusk hits or whatever, you can go out and walk, rollerblade, whatever, and it's still really nice out. With here, we don't really cool off. So if it was let's say it was 95 in the day, it's probably going to be 85 to ish at night in most summer. Like we just don't cool off at night. So that is definitely a thing. We put a ceiling fan out on our patio that made it feels so much nicer out there now. But that's a complaint I have, is that we don't cool down at night. So if you're active, it's hot no matter when. And then the other complaint I have is we have the ugliest winters. Oh my gosh, it's cold. It will drop below freezing sometimes, but you occasionally get snow, not too much, which is good, except everything is just brown and ugly here. It's only for a couple of months, 2, maybe 3 months tops. Our winters don't last super long, so that's a bonus. And man, does spring look pretty after that ugly winter. That it's just brown, bald trees and brown. So it's cold enough to lose all the leaves. It's cold enough, all the grass goes dormant, but it's so ugly. So I hate winter here, but our winters are fairly mild. And even if it's cold, you will have days where randomly it decides it's going to be 70 degrees. So you get a bit of a break that you wouldn't like up north. So it's not horrible, but I don't like it. Everything else about Texas, though, I love. Well, most everything. Okay, not our roads. Whoever designed our roads and freeways here, I have questions. California definitely makes more sense the way the freeways are set up, the way everything's set up. Like here, you miss an off ramp, you're going to be driving for another 20 miles before you can turn around again. It is, and yeah, there's some problems, especially in the area I live in is even worse. The roads, they did not plan out very well. Coffee makes me happy. I hope that mic doesn't pick up drinking sounds. That would be gross. Let's see. Gail said, Southern hospitality is a real thing. It's abundant here in Alabama. Yeah, I still can't get over, everyone's just so friendly. Neighbors, I love my neighbors. I've never had that before. Even when we lived in the apartment, our neighbors, they said hi to you. And when I was in California in the apartment, I tried saying hi to neighbors there, and they just look at you like you're insane. They were... I had a few neighbors in one apartment. Well, they lived in the apartment, but they weren't neighbors that would talk to you, but mostly a lot of people, you just didn't really talk to your neighbors. You didn't, everyone just kind of avoided everybody. Here, it definitely is not that way. I'm actually friends with my neighbors on one side. I love them. The guy on the other side, we've not hung out with him, but he's really cool, very nice. We chat when one of us is outside working in the yard and the other one is out there too. It's very not like what I experienced in California. I absolutely love how everyone treats everyone respectfully and nice, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm a huge fan. I think I'm actually caught up on questions. Wow. Surprising given how much I ramble. There's going to be a nasty comment about that. Well, it won't be tonight. It'll be later on. Luckily, I will say I do like that YouTube. I know a lot of people don't do it, and it's better for the channel if you get drama on it. I just don't like to see it. And for my own mental sanity, when people are nasty, I just block them and delete the comments. But it's always after. But YouTube is pretty good about filtering it. So most of the time, it doesn't even go live. Well, I have a pretty extensive list of words that get flagged. So that's probably part of it. Because usually when people are rude, they use the same words every time. It amazes me. how people will talk to you and then claim you're the one who is rude because you called them. If you don't dare say anything back to them. I mean, I typically just delete it, but it's, yeah, people are fun. So I'm just mixing some white. It doesn't really matter. I'm using unbleached titanium white. It doesn't matter if it's white or which one. Throwing a bit of red oxide in there and some black just to get this kind of grayish tone for these feathers. I've got to come back through with a lot of highlights, but it gives me a base. Oh, I was right. This actually didn't refresh. I'm missing a ton of questions. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I refreshed that. Holy crap. Scrolling up. Oh my gosh, so many questions. Here we go. Alana said, I'm very new to art and I only have a few pieces, but I have a few friends who are interested in buying them. Should I be creating a website or Etsy page at this stage? I would, because part of business, part of being an artist, if you're going to start selling, is learning how to build the website, learning how to make Etsy work. Learning that side is just as important as learning the art. So I would say absolutely get that going. Even, I'm not saying you're going to get, like, people are going to be flooding in trying to buy everything, but you need to learn how to do it anyway. So learn now. I definitely would. Let's see. Danae said, have you tried yoga as a form of exercise? I have back problems and it helps me a lot. It also is very customizable. You might like it. I tried it kind of. My friend sent me his videos or not his videos. He owned the videos and didn't use them, so he sent them to me. But it was like God, what workout was it? It was one of those that they'd have the infomercials all the time. It was super popular, but it was too hard work. And even the yoga wasn't like normal yoga. And I would get so lightheaded. I can't bend over or be my head down at all. I get really dizzy really fast. And so I was actually making myself nauseated with it. And that was only like the warm up part of a 15-minute or 10-minute warm up. And I felt so ill. I'm like, okay, that's not for me. Now that was back before I really got my fibromyalgia under control. So it may be better now, but I really haven't tried since that. Those were just videos that were there, but there's probably videos. Does Netflix, I guess YouTube would probably have videos too. That may be something that I should do, especially on days like this when it's raining and I can't go walking. That may be a good thing. I mean, Gibson still will be unhappy, but at least I could burn some calories. DJ said, I think that if you are just getting started in colored pencil and still think that you need to learn more to get where you are happy with your work, sell cheaper. Yes, but, well, if you're just getting started, for sure. But as far as thinking you need to learn more before you're happy with your work, I think that's a state of mind we should almost always be in. As soon as you hit the point where you're like, I'm happy with my work, I have reached my peak, you stop learning, you stop progressing, you stop getting better. So that's the only thing I would say, maybe not on that, because I don't think you ever should hit a point where you don't feel like you have more to learn. But as far as when you're getting started, yeah, definitely. Kevium said, I'm taking portfolio now, and I can finally work on projects without procrastinating. How do you stay motivated when not motivated by bills? Oh, I'm motivated by bills. That is always my. But besides that, seriously, that didn't come out right. I had a 2-hour nap. I can't even blame a lack of sleep at this point. The atmosphere the atmosphere of the room I'm in, the lighting makes a big difference for me. Having an audiobook that I'm really interested, I usually listen to audiobooks, having something like that I'm interested in, that I really want to listen to the rest of that story. Sometimes I'll make myself, I don't really do it anymore because I always have audiobooks going. But one of the things I used to do, I would not allow myself to listen to the audiobook. I'd be super into a book. I would only let myself listen to it while I was working out, while I was cleaning the house, or while I was painting. That was it. And so if I wanted to listen to my book, I had to do one of those things, which was good. It worked really well. That got me painting a lot more. Now I almost always have an audiobook going, so that's not the same, but that helped. But yeah, that setting up an atmosphere, like having my coffee or having tea in the room, it used to be wine, having stupid diet. Yeah, the lighting in here, you can tell the lighting in here is fairly dim. I'm not motivated to work in a bright room. That includes daytime. I don't like bright. I like the rest of the room just having that nice feel to it that, well, I guess not everyone considers that a nice feel, but I do. That makes a big difference to me. Having my space needs to be clean and fairly organized. I mean, it might get semi-unorganized, but if the room is everything's where it should be, that definitely motivates me. I'm not one who is happy to work. I know some people like working in mess. I don't at all. I don't like being in a messy room. I'm very neurotic, or like my house has to always be clean. I'm not, it freaks me out when it's not. So I have issues. I'm aware. But yeah, those are things that will certainly motivate me to want to paint, like kind of setting myself up. Sometimes I'll like not do the audiobook because that's something I'm kind of used to. So if I really am just like, oh, I'm not in the mood, music I haven't listened to in a while can really motivate me. That makes for an enjoyable experience, I guess. So those are some of the things I do to get motivated. But I mean, the big thing too is don't wait for motivation to hit your easel. If you, what is it? Was it Mark Twain? Motivation finds you. Somebody, I think it was Mark. Maybe it was him. I don't know. Somebody says motivation finds you working. Is a quote. I know he said something similar to that. I don't know if that was his, but get to work. Go sit down at the easel and start working. If you wait until you're in the mood to work, you aren't going to accomplish much in life. Heck, if I waited till I was in the mood not to eat, I sure wouldn't have lost the weight. But you know, waiting for the mood to strike is not an effective way to succeed with your art. I'm doing it right now with violin. I need to stop waiting for the mood to practice. I need to just pick the darn thing up and start playing and start practicing. We have this idea that we need to be in the mood for art. If we're not in the mood, it's not going to come out good. Now, there are times where I'm just like, I can't paint today. I'm just not into it. But that's rare. Don't let that happen often. More often than not, when I sit down to paint, I'm like, I'd rather go do something else. You still have to sit down and get started. And once you get started, usually the mood will strike. But you have to do it whether the mood is there or not. And that goes for everything in life. If you want to accomplish something, don't wait until you're in the mood. I mean, if you're going to school for something, you can't wait till you're in the mood to study. You have limited time. You have to get it done. So that would be my advice there. Melinda said, and for me, as a hobby painter, it's difficult when someone wants to buy a piece. I don't want to over or undercharge. I don't really want to be in the art business. Well, that's a different, I don't even know where to go with that one. That definitely makes it harder because you just really want to enjoy the work. So I definitely get that. In that case, I would probably just be like, here's some stuff on Etsy. If somebody wants it, it's there. If it doesn't sell, I don't really care. Well, I would probably do more eBay than Etsy because Etsy, you have to pay a fee and have to relist too often in order for it to be up on I like eBay better. You can list for free. So that may be, if you wanted to sell some stuff but didn't want to really deal with caring about anything else, that may be an option for you. Ellie said, 4 hours is local here in Queensland. Our state is so big, it takes several days from top to bottom. Oh, wow. Chris said, gotcha. Still kind of new to which areas are wet here. Where are you from, Chris? I mean, I know you're in Orange County, right? So that's a nice area. My sister lives down there. I did not. Let's see. Celine said, on Amazon, is there any longer paintbrushes, like you said, that come in a set or single and fairly priced or cheap? I'm not sure on Amazon. There's not that I found, but I haven't looked that hard, to be fair. So I can't say for certain. I should look, though. I think that would be good. Maybe I should look and start buying a few and see if I can find some that I like. I'll look into that because I like to buy things. George said, I'm planning to list some originals and prints on eBay for the first time in about 1 week. I peeked at some art listing on eBay, but it's hard to tell what is selling. I'm still trying it. So what you may want to do when you're not sure what's selling, follow it. Like favorite it or whatever, like you're interested in buying or whatever. Watch it. That's what it's called on eBay. I don't eBay that often. I did buy a begonia on there yesterday, though. Damn you for tempting me, eBay. I looked at it, and then they start sending you emails. Are you still interested in this? And like, no, I was being strong and not buying it. Another email. You sure you're not interested in this? Fine. Buy it now. But anyway, watch the item so you can see if they ended up selling or not. That will also notify you how many times the person relisted it. So it just gives you an idea of what that would be helpful. Nadine said, for transparent mixing white, do you prefer the Liquitex Basics, soft body, or heavy body? Hands down, Liquitex Basics. The soft body and the heavy body just dry too fast for me. So the texture is okay on the soft body. It's just that it dries faster, dries in my palette faster. Whereas the Liquitex Basics, they stay wet a lot longer. So definitely my preference there. Jason said, so you like the congestion on the highway in LA? Love the middle of the country. Oh, God, no. But we get that here too now. And here we've got the congestion, but we're starting to get it more. But we also, that is not what I wanted to do. We're getting, just stupid traffic patterns where the way the freeways to get from one freeway to the next, you're constantly switching. Now you need to be over here to switch. Now you need to be, it's very like all over the place to where good freaking luck getting where you wanted to go without having to, oh, missed it, got to turn around. It's a hot mess out here. Let's see. Whoops. But we are getting like where I'm at, the highway or whatever. It's not actually a freeway, but it's always backed up nonstop. It is a mess. They're supposed to widen it, but that's going to be many, many years. Hold on, it jumped again. I've got to scroll back up. Where am I? There we go. Watercolor Gypsy Art said, oh, no, sorry, I didn't even read that all the way. That's a long name. Watercolor Gypsy Art and Wellness said, how many cameras do you have to make this setup? I've got one on my palette, the one on my laptop, and then one over here on the easel, so 3. Well, 2 cameras. Well, do you call a laptop a camera? I don't know. Let's see. Lottie said, does your yard have good privacy? Like if you wanted to go outside without having people be able to see into your yard? No, okay, so the neighbor on this side cannot see in my yard. The neighbor on this side who we're friends with, they definitely can. Like the way their patio is, when they walk out, they can see into it, which doesn't bother me. If we hated them, that might be awkward, but no, like they're 6-foot fences. So they have to be up on their patio. Like theirs is kind of raised a bit from ours. But like if we're on our patio, no, you don't see neighbors at all. Because our house, like the patio sets back in. So let's see. Cassandra said, it's easy to be mean behind someone's back, I suppose. Like, yeah. Susan, well, I think too what happens with YouTube is people don't realize that YouTubers read those. You have people who assume, like they think of YouTubers as being almost a celebrity, which is kind of like, seems kind of funny to me, but they look at us as celebrities that wouldn't read the comments, so they can say whatever they want about us without us ever knowing or seeing it. And it's like, no, we're just normal people who threw a camera on ourselves. Like there's no, yeah. So actually, I had one guy say something. I forget what it was. He was being real nasty about my voice or something like that, or how fast I spoke. I think it was something along those lines. And I actually responded to him, and he felt really bad. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you'd actually read these comments." And he apologized and was just like, it didn't cross his mind that YouTubers read what random people on the internet wrote, which is kind of funny. Susan said, Lisa, I missed what you were doing on Friday. Something about pan pastel. Yeah, it's going to be pan pastels and colored pencil on pastel mat. So powder blender, that whole thing. And it's going to be a kitten and a pumpkin. I'm going to adjust the drawing of my kitten a little bit because its leg and one side leg was a little bit weird. But yeah, that guy, I will post. Somebody remind me. Nick usually reminds me. Remind me tomorrow, though. I need to remember to upload the reference photo so you guys can get it drawn out, because that one's going to take a little longer, I think, to draw out than our usual like strawberry or cherries, because it's going to be a multi-part. We're going to go detailed. PZ Cherokee said, I agree with you. Texas is a great place to live. There's a lot of balance here. I'm also in DFW, just moved back from Arizona, and days were 115 and nights dropped to like 101. Oh, ouch. That I would not like that. Chris said, is Kristen Stewart on the list of flagged words? She is not. Maybe she should be. She's kind of that. I mean, it's almost the same as a swear word. Freaking ruined Snow White for me. Melinda said, restorative yoga with a yoga therapist is the best way to start, especially with fibromyalgia. Interesting. I've never heard of that. Melinda said, first thing early in the morning with coffee and music, my happy painting place and time. Yeah, see, it depends for sure if you're a morning person or not. I am not. I like nighttime. I will say I am very much looking forward, though, to it cooling off so I can get my walks out of the way in the day. So we found, I didn't even know this was in my neighborhood. There's like lakes I can go walk around. I need to get video of that with Gibson. So pretty. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in the day. My husband and I have only seen it at night, but it's really close. And I always walk one direction, not the opposite direction. The opposite direction is the pretty way. So I'm kind of excited about it cooling off and me being able to walk in the mornings because I'm not painting in the morning. Melinda said, oh, got that one. Ashley said, hi, Lisa. I'm new to your tutorials and videos. Love them. Learn so much more from you than other tutorials. Thank you. Oh, that's so good to hear. Oh, gave me goosebumps. Celine said, must have colors for Liquitex Basics paint. Titanium white, Mars black. So those are my two must-haves. Any neutral red, like not too warm, not too cool. I just like can't think of one off the top of my head, but a neutral red, yellow, like, you know, the yellow that's out here, just any basic yellow. It doesn't matter if you have the exact colors I do. No, like that's not super important to me, but a yellow, I typically want phthalo blue. Ultramarines, second must have, but phthalo's always been my go-to blue. It depends. For green, I usually have Hooker's green. My second choice would be phthalo green because I use phthalo blue and phthalo green to make teal, but that's me because it's a color I use a lot in my work. Purple dioxazine and magenta or deep violet, those are two must-haves for me. And I really like either red oxide or burnt sienna, and then I mix it with black to get my browns. I used to buy the brown, like Van Dyke brown or whatever, I don't remember what brown it was, but one of the browns with Liquitex Basics, and I don't use them often enough, so they had a tendency to get all chunky in the container before I got a chance to use them. So now I'm finding using this, like a reddish, this one's red oxide, but red oxide or the burnt sienna, either one, if you mix that with brown or with the black, both, like I'm going to use that red oxide anyway. I'm going to use black anyway. If I mix them together, I get a brown, and now I'm not getting chunky paint because I took too long to use it. So those are my go-tos. Oh, I'm a huge fan of unbleached titanium white too. I probably use that more than titanium white. Let's see. Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Oh, okay, Pablo Picasso said that. What was the one? I forget what it was that was it Mark Twain? He said something along the lines of, God, what was it? His was showing up to work, or like it found him working at, like inspiration found him at the desk working early in the morning or something. I forget how it was worded. I'm screwing it up, but he said something similar to that. Dursu said, what is the name of this owl? If I had to guess, it would be Feathery Noodles. Holy crap. So Dursu, one of my old World of Warcraft raiding buddies from like years ago. Weird. He's a pygmy owl. Pygmy Noodles. This is Pygmy Noodles. Let's see. Wow. Weird. You're still alive. Heather said, thank you for the motivational pep talk. I've had some really bad mental health days. Oh, I'm sorry. And this pep helped me out with wanting to get back into art. That's good. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm so sorry you're having to deal with the bad days. That is no fun. But the thing, it's everything we do that with, though. We're not in the mood, and we're just like, just going to keep pushing this off, and I'll wait until I'm in the mood. Well, especially in your case, if you're having bad days, you're never going to be in the mood. So like, just, it is cliche as it sounds, just get up and do it. And trust me, happens in my life all the time with all sorts of things, trying to convince myself, don't wait until you're in the mood. Like a lot of artists will do the whole, like, oh, the moon has to be right, and the temperature has to be right, and the wind needs to blow in this direction. Like they have so many, I mean, I know I'm over exaggerating. They have so many things that they think need to happen to get them in the mood to paint. And it's like, you're never going to accomplish much if you don't just do it, just force yourself to do it. And the funny thing is, once you do it, once you get started with it, it feels good. Like you'll get in the mood from making yourself do it when you weren't in the mood. Shaz said, I often have to force myself to go to an art room, but once I start, I lose time and often don't want to stop. I don't sell. It's just a hobby and gifts, my therapy. That's awesome. That's like my phrase tonight is, that's awesome. I need to find more positive words to use. Come back. Chris was next. I saw your logo. So just a quick thing. I want to point out, when it comes, for those of you who are YouTubers who are making logos, or just anyone in general, look at Chris's logo, how it stands out from everybody else's. It makes it so easy to spot marketing-wise. That is what you want your logo to be, like something that just like, you see it and you know whose that is. It, as tiny as that little logo is, that is a good thing. Anyway, coming back to, Chris said, born and raised in Washington, D.C. and the Maryland side. The traffic there makes LA seem light. Oh, wow. I'm in the Laguna Beach area now. Yeah, oh God. Laguna and Balboa are my favorites. Laguna, I always said if I ever moved back to California, Laguna, but I can't afford Laguna. But that would be my, that might be something that got me back. That was always my favorite place to walk around and visit. Like, oh my gosh, I love that area. Super jealous right now. But no, it's so nice down there. So I get why you would like California. Very different than the Inland Empire, that's for sure. Like it's almost a different world altogether. But yeah, Laguna is, if you guys have not been from to California and you like are like, oh, what beach should I go walk around at and go to shops and stuff? Laguna, well, not right now, but everything's closed. But Laguna it's probably my favorite. Balboa is right behind that, but because I liked the shops in that area. But yeah, I mean shops that I would go look at, but not shop in, because I was poor when I lived in California. There was no shopping. But oh my gosh, it's amazing down there. So pretty. Okay, moving on. Susan said, Lisa, have you heard of any good art projectors? I know yours is not available anymore. I don't know of any. Really, any digital projector should be fine. The quality, like technology has come so far that now I would go digital. I would not do like the Artograph one that I used in the live stream, the cheapy like $80 one. I wouldn't do that. That thing's crap. I mean, okay, it got me through. It did save time, but that is not super, I wouldn't waste the money on it. I would look for any digital projector. And the thing you want to look for is make sure, like it can be a movie projector. So this one, the one I have, it's actually, I think LG makes it. But they made the same one for art. Was it Artograph? I don't know. It was one of those, for the art company. And the only real difference between that and LG, besides being $200-300 more than the same model that wasn't for art, is that they screwed up the remote so you couldn't change or get the battery to work. I think that's why they discontinued that one. It was an issue. They had to send me one that worked, but where was I going with that story? My brain shut off. I looked at the picture and thought, oh, the contrast is looking nice, and then my brain reset. You want to make sure whatever projector you do can hold a static image, and that some projectors don't, from what I understand, want to do that. But my friend said she got the LG one, and I don't know what hack she did to make it work, but she was able to do something. I don't remember if she was setting up multiple photos, so it just kept cycling through the same photo, and she didn't notice while she was drawing. She did something to make it work, but she saved the money. Like she saved, God, $200-300 for not getting the one with the art name on it. So any digital projector should work fine for you, though, if you can hold a static image. Let's see. Gail said, favorite Mark Twain quote: "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." Oh, that's a good one. I like it. Paul said, it's funny how some business cards state, contact us, when he's clearly running it alone. Oh my gosh. Have you heard me rant on that one before? I used to do that too. I don't know what it was. So business tip here. You want, for some reason, like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, we seem to think that it made us sound more professional if we did the whole contact us. Everything was multiple, and it's like, who was us that I was talking about? Like me and the dog? Who is this us? It's just me. And the funny thing is, it has the reverse effect. People want to buy from an individual, they want that artist thing. They don't want mass-produced big business. And I don't know why we all did that. And some people still do it. I mean, I guess it's probably the same people who still have a landing page on their website. There are certain business things that were just really popular back then, and they were not the best choice. And that is certainly one of them. Speaking of, I need to order business cards tonight. I think Vistaprint has 50% off today. But yeah, that was always a funny thing that a lot of us were doing. I mean, I had my voicemail back before you had cell phones. Like, yes, I'm that old. But before cell phones, my voicemail was I used to use Water of Life Studio, not Lachri Finer. I still sign Lachri, but I did like my studio name was Water of Life Studio because I painted water and I thought it was a good idea. And it's actually very cliche and I don't use it anymore. But back then, like my voicemail when people would call was, welcome to Water, or thank you for calling Water of Life Studio. Like it was some big company. It was so cheesy. It was so bad and it didn't work. Yeah, there's a reason none of us do that anymore on marketing. But you want to sell yourself as that individual, not try to sound like some big mass company, because that is not what people are looking for in an artist. Okay, I think we can just about start coming through and doing some glazing and highlighting. Get a few more of these guys in here. Let's see. Nick, Watercolor Gypsy Art and Wellness said, I'm a 500-hour certified yoga instructor who also suffers from fibra and RA. I reached out to you through your website. Oh, cool, thanks. Is that the email I have? No. What is it? Oh, but welcome to John Jackson, new patron. Thanks for joining. Sarah said, I say if you're going to write something to someone on the internet, even if you think they won't read it, write something that would make the person happy if they did read it. I like that. I like that a lot. Marilyn said, thank you for giving me something great to paint. Oh, come back. It scrolled. It jumped. Where were we? Yeah, that jumped far. There we go. Celine said, for green, I have phyllo green to have that. Yes, phyllo green, I do like. It's kind of a bluish green. And if it ends up being too blue, just add some yellow to it and you'll warm that right up. And you can get more of like that yellowy green instead of bluish green. Or you could add a bit of red to it and that'll also warm, pull it so it's a more neutral tone instead of such a blue green. So you can adjust it so that it is closer. Because it is, the problem with phthalo green and why I say it's not like the must have, I would go with Hooker's green first. Hooker's green is just kind of your middle of the road green. Kind of. It's more neutral. It's more like you'll see it more in trees and such. Whereas the phthalo green has more, actually, I don't know if you can see it. It may not show color-wise. This one is, yeah, it doesn't really show. That one is my Hooker's green. This one is phthalo green. But so they're not that different. One does have a bluish tint to it, the phthalo green. So adding a little bit of yellow will turn it almost into the other one, close enough. So you can mix to get what you need there. But yeah, I like it. Normally my main phthalo green is to mix that in my phthalo blue so that I can get the nice teal. Zika said, I remember you said your husband had crazy working hours. Does he work in a creative job? No. And do you two ever do art together? Do you know his favorite painting that you did? I'm not sure what his favorite painting of mine. He claims most octopus paintings that I do. Yeah, I don't know. No, he's not creative at all. He works for an elevator company. It's like 911 for elevators. So if you get stuck in an elevator, it's probably going to his work. So he's a manager there. Yeah, not creative at all. And he never paints anymore. He used to, and he'd always talk about like, oh, when I get a house, maybe I'll get a drafting table or something. Or he does, no, not paints, draws. He draws, not paints. But he doesn't. The only thing that he really does now, he likes to paint his Warhammer characters. So that's cool. At least he's doing something crafty. Mostly he plays like on his off time. He really likes video games are like his go-to thing to do. He originally, like when we met, God, 20 something years ago, his original plan, he wanted to be a comic book artist, but he never pursued it. Like he definitely doesn't have the self discipline as far as like, okay, I have to sit down and draw to practice. I have to submit the work. I have to do these things. He just doesn't. So that's why he didn't really go anywhere with it. He's crazy skilled. He just doesn't do anything. Oh, super chat. Thank you, Alana. So one, thank you, Lisa. Two, if we need to contact you directly, what's the best way to do so? Instagram chat? No, I don't even check my Instagram messages. Facebook Messenger, also don't check. Or a particular email. Yeah, you can try Lisa at lachri.com. But to be fair, and it's not me trying to be rude, I just don't see them half the time, or I'll read it and think, oh my gosh, that email was awesome. Or like, especially I had a couple of comments today on Patreon that just gave me goosebumps. They're super nice. And I'm like, I need to respond. And then I run out of time. And then I forget. And then months go by and I'm like, crap, I never responded to that. That's kind of my life. So if I don't respond to you, please don't take it personal. I'm so bad about getting back to people. I don't check Facebook Messenger and I don't check Instagram because it gets overwhelming. I know that's crappy, but it just gets so overwhelming. I want to answer everybody, but if I do, then I can't get my work done. So it turns into, because I used to try to get to everybody and it just does not work out, unfortunately. I need more hours in the day is what I need. Let's see. Cavian said, couldn't find a quote with the word inspiration, but Twain did say the secret to getting ahead is getting started. There was something someone said about sitting at a desk or like, and I think it was him, something about along the lines of sitting at a desk or inspiration or motivation, maybe it was motivation, found him working at 8 a.m. every morning or something along those lines. Maybe it was success. I don't know. Jason said he used to work at Edwards Theater in the mall in Newport Beach at the beginning of the 2000s. Oh, wow. Newport is one I used to go to like rollerblade. It wasn't my favorite beach though. It was a little bit dirtier, like as far as like actually going to the water or walking around. Laguna is like, I don't know, it has a more, well, I don't know, I've not been there in years, but it had it just still looked all natural. It wasn't all dirty with trash all over the place. Like Newport and Huntington, like those were probably the closest to me where I lived. So when I went to like go lay out at the beach or rollerblade, I usually went to Newport or Huntington and they just were, yeah, we'll go with dirty. People left trash all over, and then there were people all over, and yeah, Laguna was nicer. Laguna and Balboa seemed nicer. Clarence said, I sometimes use a micro projector. It's smaller than my cell phone and it's Bluetooth enabled. I take it everywhere I go. That is awesome. Do you like the results you're getting? That sounds cool. Clark Fine Art said, what program do you use to live stream your YouTube channel? I'm using OBS, which is cool. It's free. It's pretty awesome. And I probably need to set that up. I should be streaming to Facebook at the same time. It makes sense. I just haven't done that. I need to figure out how to do it. I know it works. I just haven't done it yet. Let's see. Sarah said, there was a writer who said that a writer who waits for conditions to be perfect will die without putting a single word on paper. And that is true for art as well. Clark Fine Art said, and other YouTubers can go live on YouTube where only certain people can see it. Example, for a one-on-one live virtual class. I don't know what that is. My brain shut down from whatever the previous comment was. I don't do that just because there's just no time. I think it's awesome. Like, people will do that for Patreon rewards where they have like one-on-one chats. I just don't have time. I have time, I talk to my mom once or twice, sometimes twice a day. That's like it. That is who I talk to. My husband's hit or miss if I talk to him. But my mom, there's just no, I need more time. Let's see. Josephine said, hi, Lisa, can you tell me if you have separate palettes for oil and acrylics? I do. Absolutely. Or is it okay to clean up one and use for both types of paint? I wouldn't, because even if a little bit of oil mixes in or was still on the palette you missed and it gets in, no, keep them separate. Plus, this palette I've been using the paint on here has still been wet. I added some more, but it's been wet for weeks. My oil paint, same thing. It's wet. I'm still using the paint. I don't have to throw it and clean it. And I'm going back and forth. So Wednesday nights I'm using the acrylic, but I'm currently working on the portrait and oils. I don't want to throw out that paint in order to switch over to my oils when I'm going back and forth. So no, set yourself up with two different palettes for many reasons. But the main one is not just being practical and not having to throw out paint every time you want to switch. But if any of that oil stays on there, that will mess up your acrylics. And you don't want to, if you had a brush stroke that picked up a little bit of oil and acrylics and you put it on there, you just messed up that canvas. The acrylic's not going to want to stick to it. It's a thing. So yeah, no, I don't recommend sharing palettes. Jason said, that's one of the positives of the live stream and talk and answer questions. Yes, I agree. I like the live. I have fun on these. Paul, the time goes by so fast. Paul said, persistent, don't take no for an answer. If you're happy to sit at your desk and not take any risk, you'll be sitting at your desk for the next 20 years. David Rubenstein. I agree with that, absolutely. And that's kind of true with art in general, taking risk in trying different techniques and trying different ideas. That idea may fail, but it also may be the idea that separates you from the next artist. That may be the best idea. You look at artists, Van Gogh, Picasso, artists that kind of started a different movement in art. At the time, if they weren't willing to take risks, like them or not, they made a name for themselves because they took a risk that other people weren't willing to do. So, yes. Shaz said, not only is all social media overwhelming, it's also so time consuming to the point where you can lose the day. I try to stay off most of the time, only YouTube while I paint, etc. That's a good idea. I haven't been posting enough to Instagram. Well, part of it is this painting has been it's one of those stages where you look at it and it looks like it should be considered done, but I know it's not, so it looks terrible to me. And I'm like, people will just assume it's done and that it's just not a good one. So I haven't been posting that one. I have not been posting to Instagram enough lately. I've pretty much just been posting when I have live streams going up. I need to use that more though. I'm going to refresh this page because I have a feeling it's missing a bunch. So we'll have coffee while we wait. Yep, it was definitely missing a bunch. Okay, let's scroll up and see what we missed. Melissa said, inspiration exists, but it has to find you working, Pablo Picasso. That's one of them. There's another one about a desk and 8 a.m. or something like that. George said, how do you preserve the palette from drying out so you can reuse the paint? Plastic wrap. So no, this one is a stay wet, or it's the Masterson. Hold on, the lid's right here. Ow. Masterson. It's kind of like a big Tupperware. So I like the glass palette. This paint here, that's like you can see, it's dry. So I just take a glass scraper when I want to reuse that area and I can scrape that out of the way. But that part is going to dry. Now this here, that the chunks of paint, that's going to stay wet longer. And I have a wet paper towel in here. So when I put the lid on it, it seals it in, but the wet paper towel is going to keep the humidity. So it keeps these chunks of paint from drying out so fast. So that is what I do there. Now the stay wet palettes where you put, it's like a big wet paper towel. I don't like them. I don't like the results I get. It makes the paint like gooey and not a fan. So, oh, there's the thing on yoga. I'll read that later. So yeah, that is what I do. Paul said, I have lost my sense of time since this pandemic. It's almost like a long whole day. Yeah, it's funny. I see all of these funny memes like, actually, I don't need that now. I need to do some, let's start softening up some of these feathers. These memes, like one of my favorites right now is when it shows the person's backyard before COVID and after COVID. And it's like, obviously not the same. It's just funny. It's like this whole open field and beautiful and all this landscaping. And it cracks me up. But yeah, I didn't have the extra time on COVID. I actually lost time because I started doing an extra live stream a week since I knew more people were home. So, and we just kept doing that. That apparently is just a part of my schedule now. So I lost time. Also, I am determined, I didn't get it done this week. I am determined to get an edited video at least started tomorrow and finished Sunday probably. So that's one of my things that I have got to start being consistent about. I've been horrible about those. Celine said, I'm doing a bokeh background with acrylics, but it's drying before my eyes. Any tips to stop that? Any tips that come to mind will help. So with a bokeh background, you may, if you don't have an airbrush, reaching over there, getting this, a fine mist or ultra fine mist sprayer. This thing is amazing. You can get different ones. I have not tried the ones. I bought some on Amazon, haven't tried them yet. This thing though, I got this one from dickblick.com and it gives that fine mist. Now it's not as fine or as good or as consistent, I should say, as an airbrush. The airbrush, I'm not going to get heavy water droplets. This one, I'll get a couple, but there's so few, it's still worth doing. I absolutely recommend that. You can keep misting your paint to keep it wet. That would be probably the solution to your problem. Let's see, Celine said, I'm doing the background with just acrylics and paintbrushes and water. So paint faster, of course, is one. Doing glazes can be something that'll help, but probably get that fine mist sprayer. They're like under $15, under $12. I don't know. They're not expensive. Again, I've not tried the ones on Amazon, but I know the one, this is the one from Dick Blick. It's a Delta Art sprayer. Yeah, Delta Artist, it said. And it is amazing. Maybe somebody who's compared the two can tell us. I need to do that comparison myself. Sarah said, I was a guest speaker for a Zoom art class. The teacher asked me if I have any tips on how to get inspired. I could only think to say not to wait to be inspired to start working. Good. I think that's good. I mean, there are definitely things like you can do to get inspired, but I think too often artists, there seems to be this concept about what an artist is. Like, I don't know if it's because we get it in the movies or whatever, but it's not true. We want to pretend that we walk around all barefooted out in the rain, and maybe you do that. I don't know. I don't. I have glasses. Glasses and rain don't mix. But we have to have everything all perfect, and we're these super free, and you may be a free spirit. I'm not saying you can't be, but they miss out on the fact that many of us are very analytical. I am very analytical with stuff that can't speak. I apparently have speech issues, but you have the TV portrays us one way, and people who get into art often feel like they're supposed to fall in that box, and it doesn't really work that way. And one of those things is that we're supposed to be flaky. You're supposed to be in the mood to paint. You're supposed to be splashing paintbrushes all over the place, not sitting here with a little brush, little teeny marks. It's very different, I think, what the idea a lot of people have. And I've noticed that when I've done interviews with people who weren't artists, the questions they ask kind of throw me off because I'm like, wait, what? No, this isn't TV. That's not how that works. Angel said, where will you be celebrating Christmas? Here in Texas. Same. We don't really do a whole lot for the holidays. We'll have to at some point. Well, what day does Christmas fall on this year? If my husband's still on his same schedule, he will likely be working. So I don't know if we'll even do anything besides, we really don't do much. I mean, I put out decorations. I'm one of those people who wants to Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I'm taking down my Christmas decorations and cleaning. I'm weird, but we don't really do a lot for holiday stuff. My family is all still in California. And then Matt's parents are here, and that's really all we have. So I know last year my neighbors had a Christmas party. I didn't go because I didn't know them that well, and I was doing the whole, I feel awkward just showing up at these people's houses. But this year I would definitely go to that. That's the only thing, if they have that, I could see myself doing. Maybe I could have a little get together, I don't know, with some friends. Let's see. Celine said, I'm also not letting the paint dry to add more layers. It's all just caking up one area to the point where I could just scrape it off. It's a habit. Yeah, I think you need to start letting it dry and then glaze over it. That may be the thing. Because so what may be happening, if your paint is getting to that point where it's not really, you're putting enough layers on that it keeps it sort of wet, but it's also starting to dry. It's gonna, yeah, the cakey, like it's not gonna work for you. So you do get to a point where you either need to keep it wet, that spray bottle will help, or paint faster to keep it wet. That would be an option. Or then let it dry and do more glazing. Beak said, luck equals preparation, meeting opportunity. I agree. I like that. Yeah, and I think the idea of what artists are supposed to be is probably what keeps a lot of people who want to be artists from being successful, because they don't realize. I mean, I spend more time on the business side of things lately, like freaking Vimeo. Which, by the way, so update on the Vimeo drama. I'll just lightly summarize it in case any of you are watching who don't know what happened with them. So I used to host my Patreon videos on Vimeo. I was like $425, 400 something a month. I keep saying a month, a year for this service. It is not free to use Vimeo because of how much I had on there. I was only using less than half. So it was more like a third of my allotted space that I was paying for. I paid to have more. I wasn't using all of that, but that's fine. I paid for that. They contacted me. Now, Patreon, by the way, Vimeo is integrated into Patreon. They have a deal with Patreon. Also, Vimeo is a crap service that is inconsistent. They have great security things or privacy settings, but they don't work on all devices, and that was a problem. The amount of time I spent for the last few years having to send separate links to people because their device didn't play Vimeo was ridiculous. Had a lot of problems with Vimeo. So they contacted me a few weeks ago and said, I thought it was from Patreon. Congratulations on your success on Patreon. And how some crap, it was a freaking novel. But they said that because I was in the 99 top percentile, I was using more data, which is bull. I wasn't. According to my analytics, my videos averaged maybe 500 views in 3 years each video. Like I'm not getting that many because it's Patreon and people aren't watching all of them all the time. It's not the same as YouTube videos. So they basically said, because I was successful on Patreon, and that they were I needed to contact them because they were going to raise my rates. They wouldn't tell me what it was. I had to have a private meeting or whatever to talk to them. And that if I did not upgrade my account, now mind you, my account runs through November. So they would cancel me, delete my stuff, cancel my stuff within 10 days if I don't upgrade with them. And they'll prorate refund me the money because I had I paid for the year. So they're breaking my contract for that. So I emailed them saying, what are you talking about? I pay for the service. I'm not using your free service. Like, what is going on? Oh, well, we'll look into your account. So during this, I'm like, crap, I spend a week getting everything moved, changing everything back over so nothing is on Vimeo anymore, which is better for the user. You guys are now no longer going to suffer from Vimeo's poor service. So anyway, I change all of that over. I still haven't heard anything from them. So weeks have gone by of them telling me I had 10 days before they deleted my account. So I emailed them back yesterday, the day before. And I was like, hey, I want my refund now. I went through this, and just so you know, if you would have just told me, hey, we're raising our rates, I have no problem with that. That wasn't my problem. My problem is you are successful. And because of that, and again, I'm not using anywhere near what I'm paying for. They are going to charge me more. So, and I told her what I was unhappy about and that this was ridiculous. They cost me time. They cost me money. I'm not happy at all. Give me refund it and cancel the account. I'm not renewing, or I'm not going to talk with whatever you're going to quote me, because it's not even a public. That's what really irritates me. It's not even like, oh, here are our new fees. No. I was going to get a special fee because I was doing well on Patreon. So anyway, I get an email back she puts in somebody else. She realized that they screwed up, I guess, brings in this other person. Well, that email was just supposed to be a point of contact. I'm sorry that something about I misunderstood it, or there was a misunderstanding that it was just a point of contact to start the discussion about, that's not what your email said. You are a liar. You are bad at your job, and you are oh, that made me even more mad. So anyway, I told that person the same thing. Don't care. Don't trust your company. Will never use or recommend your company again. And I want the refund. So they're going to go ahead and prorate that and give me that refund. And then after that, I can make the video letting other creators know why you should never trust your company with Vimeo. I'm so disgusted with how they handled that. And then to come back and go, oh, there was a misunderstanding. Okay, except if there was a misunderstanding, I emailed you to find out if there was a misunderstanding like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks, whatever it's been now. And you never got back to me. And they said, oh, well, we've been looking into your account for 3 or 4 weeks. You've not been looking into anything. You're just, somebody screwed something up. I don't think I would, frustrated. So anyway, that was what went on with Vimeo. And why did I even bring that up? I don't even remember. I just was going to rant and update you guys on that thing. There was a moral to that story, but that is where it is. Let's see. Angel said, the stereotypes of being an artist, where's Sarong, have modernistic, contemporary house, Hollywood portrays artists in an interesting way. They do. I'm not saying no artists are like that. It's just funny that there's this attitude of, like, one of my favorite things about stereotypes with artists that they'll do in movies, and it's usually like some crime show or whatever, because I used to watch a lot of those, but it was like, oh, this artist always uses this color of red. That's how we know they did something. Like, what? And it's a very expensive red paint, so we know it was this artist. You're just like, oh my God. Not how that works. Alana said, I don't have pan pastels, but I want to do the kitten on Friday. Will the pan pastels be used for the background? Can I do the painting with just colored pencils? You can do it for just colored pencils. You'll be adjusting. So I'll be working on sanded paper. That's different too. If you're going to do sanded paper and like powder blender, that would be your alternative and still get pretty much the same thing that I'm doing. But if you don't have that, let's say, if I didn't do it on pan pastel and sanded paper, I would do it on Inktense, like a black paper. If you've got that, that was the other method I considered, but I've done so many on that paper, I decided to go ahead and do something different. But black paper would be a really good fit for this as well. So you're going to have to adjust your techniques no matter what, but you can certainly follow along. The pan pastel speeds things along very fast. So you'll be finishing, getting caught up with whatever we do on that lesson on your own off the video, so you'll get caught up enough for next week's portion. So, but you can follow along in any medium even that you want. It doesn't even have to be colored pencil, but it will take you longer. Pan pastels is going to save us a ton of time for getting the background done very quickly. So the reference photo, the background is white. I'm going to be doing mine in blacks and grays. I'm going to darken mine. Well, maybe not blacks and grays because my kitten is black and gray. I'm going to be using some different colors on the background. Maybe black and gray. I don't know, but you're just going to adjust that. You could technically, if you wanted to leave your paper just white and not do the background, leave the white background. That's what's on the reference photo. That would be an option for you too. Celine said, it's so thick, and when I try to glaze it, it's so thick. Haha, it doesn't glaze. It's just disgusting. It just kind of looks like a thin out paint with water over a cakey mess. I know what you're talking about. I've seen that. You can sand it if you're getting to a point where you just don't like how it looks. It's too thick on that canvas. You can take some sanded paper or sandpaper, like maybe a 223 something right around there, and lightly go over that, and you can kind of smooth that out and then go back to painting over it. May be a good solution for you. Holy crap, 1SGWW, thank you. Wow, that's a big super chat. Thank you. I had surgery and I'm homeschooling 4 kids. Oh my gosh, I should be giving you dollars. I thank God for you helping me keep my hold on reality. Oh my gosh, good. I will be praying for you because that's a lot of stuff going on at once. I hope you heal fast. But wow, thank you so much. That is so goosebumps. I'm not going to cry though. I'm working on that not crying thing when people super chat me. Let's see. Casey said, hey, are there September reference photos coming out soon? Just asking because I want to make sure I download the ones from August. The August ones are still there, so get those soon. But yeah, probably not till the end of September. Usually I upload the reference photos towards the end. I think we're going to do a lot of still lifes in this next one, so I need to go find some, fall type flowers and set up a photo shoot for those. Shaz said, those stay wet glass palettes are awesome. My acrylic stayed wet for weeks and weeks. Yeah, but they make the paint goopy. I like this setup. I like the thing that I can keep the lid on it, but like the paper, and it's personal preference. There's nothing wrong with using it. I just didn't, they weirded me out. Casey said, it probably wasn't even an actual personal response. It was an employee click, copy, paste from a list of responses. I think you're right. I think it was something that they went through and like, oh, this person's doing well. And it felt like extortion. The email, even that's what my husband said when I read it to him, or I had him just read it himself. He goes, that sounds like extortion. If you don't change your contract that I'm currently under through November, then we'll delete your stuff within 10 days. What? That was what if I was on vacation and I couldn't get things moved over? I don't trust your company. I don't care who copy and pasted what. I do not trust Vimeo. I will never use them again. That was the most ridiculous. And then when they tried to save face, when I called them out and told them like, hey, I won't use you. There's no way I don't trust your company after that. Oh, well, that was just supposed to be a point of contact so we could open dialogue. Then why didn't you continue dialogue when I questioned it? You didn't get back to me. What am I supposed to think? I've just been threatened that my stuff's going to be deleted in 10 days, which patrons who are paying to get access to that need. There was anger. Rose said, what crime shows did you watch? Law and Order, all of the Law and Orders, but Law and Order SVU was like one that I think was playing all the time. When we used to live with my mother-in-law, she had TV and she put a TV in my room for me. My mother-in-law never wanted us to move out, but she put this TV in the room, which was my bedroom and art studio, and it was all one tiny room of a lot of stuff shoved into it. But anyway, I almost always had, I think that show was like always on. So yeah, I used to watch that a lot, or any like documentaries, the crime type documentaries. I don't remember the names of those, but I used to watch lots of stuff like that. I need a brush to blend that or smooth that out. That's getting a little chunky there. There we go. Just pull that around. That has too much water now. Let's see. Whoops, that scrolled too far. Jason said, Lisa, $50 deserves a tier. I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just, wow. Angel said, how about YouTube? How is your relationship with this platform? I like YouTube. So YouTube's changed stuff a lot to where your stuff, like, I don't like some of the changes they've made. I don't like they don't, and I've had several people contact me. YouTube said they were no longer going, and they notified us, they were not going to email people when we had videos go up or lives or anything like that, because they said the open rate was so low. They did not factor in, like they didn't look at the big picture. A lot of people, I know myself included, when I would see a notification that someone I followed was live, I just went straight to the YouTube app. I never bothered opening the email. So it skewed what they thought they were seeing. And sorry, oh my gosh, my nose is suddenly itching really bad. Yeah, so that was annoying. YouTube's definitely made some choices that made it harder, not suggesting videos as much anymore. Like I hear from people that they never get suggested in my video. Like they're shocked when they saw a video go up. I'm like, I have videos all the time and live streams and stuff. And they had no idea because YouTube doesn't tell them anymore. So it's, and part of that is like if they watched a video recently, they're more likely to be, or if they commented on or liked a video. Like if you have any YouTuber that you want to make sure they're coming up in your newsfeed, not just watching the video, but leaving a comment, liking the video, that sort of interaction. YouTube's like, oh, they like it. They're going to want to see more updates from that person. But they think that they're being all smart about stuff, but all the YouTubers saw a huge drop in viewership because of some of the changes they've made. So I don't love that. But I mean, overall, I like YouTube. I wish that there were better privacy settings. I don't like, there's a few things, and that's why I was using Vimeo for a Patreon. But other than that, like the platform itself, overall, I like. I mean, like I said, they make some questionable choices that I do think affects YouTubers negatively. But for the most part, I'm a huge fan. I mean, I owe a lot everything to YouTube, really. I mean, YouTube did things for me that I was not accomplishing on Facebook. Once I started with YouTube, that's what changed everything in my career. So, I mean, Facebook does well, Instagram does well. YouTube is what made the difference. I think because it allows you to connect better with people. Back in the beginning on Facebook, videos weren't really on there. That wasn't a thing. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't have a lot. There are things I wish YouTube did differently, for sure. But overall, I'm happy with the experience. I'm happy with the opportunities that have been provided to me, or or presented to me, not provided, because of YouTube. I like it. I hope it keeps going. Let's see. Celine said, sounds terrible. Vimeo sucks. Agreed. I would never recommend them to anybody. Which is funny because before I feel like I put up with so much crap from Vimeo and back and forth. And that's the funny thing for them. They made a comment on the initial email. They're like, well, we really never intended for that what I was paying for, the pro service thing, the $400 and something a year. We never intended that to be for Patreon and for outside services or platforms. So it was being viewed like on Patreon or wherever it was linked. And it's like, what are you talking about? You're embedded into Patreon. You work with Patreon. I spoke to you guys directly who got me set up with this specific plan to use for Patreon. And there's no other reason. Like the thing that made Vimeo good is because the privacy settings were so you could tell it in the settings which platforms, like it was allowed to be on patreon.com or on lachri.com. I could tell it where it was allowed, so it couldn't be linked or embedded on somebody else's website. Of course, saying it wasn't intended for that it's just such a lie. It felt very much like, and I've never gotten an email like that from somebody where it was like, this feels dirty. Like I feel icky after the way that you've spoken as you're successful. We need you to talk to us because we're going to change your plan, specifically mine, not everybody's, mine. Yeah. Dirty company. That was and maybe their own employees just handled it wrong and worded it wrong, and they probably should not be in the position they are. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but I don't want to recommend them, and I won't use them again. Celine said, no, I just scraped the paint off and started over. I guess that works. Please do a video on that if you have one. What are they? Video, you mentioned it. I have a video on bokeh, doing the bokeh effect, but I don't put the paint on as thick as you are, and I let it dry in between. So if you look up Lachri and bokeh, there's one, it's pink and green for the bokeh effect. That's the video you want to look for that I show you how to do that, or how I do it, I should say. Casey said, exactly. When I got an email saying you've posted a new Patreon video, I don't go to my email. I just go straight to Patreon. The person who made that decision was not thinking clearly. And it's so bad. So many companies, so many people in different positions in companies don't look at the big picture. Like Michael's was one. So I started out teaching classes at Michael's back when I lived in California. And that's where I got my start teaching. So Michael's decided that the actual profit they made off the classes wasn't enough to continue with most classes. They were only going to do Wilton cake decorating, and I forget what other ones. But like I think Donna Dewberry stuff. And they decided, right, and it worked out well because it was the exact, like the day I left was the last day that they were having fine art classes. They said they weren't making enough. And it's like, no, you're not looking at whoever is involved in this doesn't realize you just lost a lot of sales on art supplies, because it's the art supplies that makes them the money that I'm selling. Because it's like, you need this product, and they go buy it, and then they come take my class, which doesn't cost Michael's anything. So yeah, and I think they went back to having classes, but it was like the person who was doing it wasn't looking at the big picture. So yeah, you see that a lot with people who like work in the offices but have never worked in the stores, or like aren't actual users. They don't realize how all of that really works. Let's see. Whoops, I just scrolled too far. Here we go. Casey said, that's why my email app has 100 or 1,000 notifications on it. Mine too. Right there with you. I had to take the little note because the icons on the phone, you can put the notification icon thing. I had to take it off because it was like, that is going to drive me insane because I don't open most of mine. Why are you up? We're not walking tonight. It's raining. I know. It's very depressing. I'm sorry, Gibson. MB Flo said, hi, Lisa. Wondering if you would paint another awesome pumpkin leading to Halloween. That jack-o'-lantern you painted a year or two ago, still one of my favorites. Thank you. We're going to be doing that kitten and a pumpkin next week. Friday we start that for the paint-along thing. But yeah, I need to do another like detailed pumpkin for sure. I don't know if I'm doing one this year, but I do want to. Junior M said, how do I keep dust off my palettes while I'm using? I live on a busy street and my house gets really dusty. I notice the debris mostly when I'm mixing colors. Okay, this is going to sound super snooty because I'm really anal about cleaning, but you just have to clean the house. You have to dust more. And I get that it's dusty, but mine is too, because I live in an area where so much construction is going on, all the dirt. Yes, I get it. You need to dust at least, and maybe you're doing this, but at least once a week, minimum, possibly more in your studio if you're getting that much dust. You're probably just you've got to put more work into regular like home cleaning, and I know it's not fun. Okay, if you're a crazy person like me, you kind of enjoy it, kind of. But I'm just happy I have a house to clean. But you've got to, like, that is the thing. And I get, it's funny because I was packing a painting recently and I didn't realize how much dog hair was stuck on the floor that hadn't been picked up by Roomba. And so, and that may be a thing too. I have Roomba runs every day. And so that picks up extra. So you may need to sweep or vacuum more too, more than I'm having to do. So that may be a contributing factor. But dog hair was getting in the tape. I had to take it all out because I'm like, I can't send this to somebody. I had no idea that much was it was like getting underneath the furniture, and then like the wind or the fan was on and it would blow. It was bad. But no, so that may be what's happening there. I don't know how to say that and not sound judgier than intended, and I apologize. I'm not saying you're like dirty. I'm just saying you may need to dust a lot more often than whatever you're currently doing. I mean, especially being that you know that you've got the busy street and all of that, that will be a factor. And like I said, I'm in a huge construction area because all of the houses around me are being built. So I get it, but I don't really have a problem. But I also am like super anal. At least once a week, everything gets dusted, at least. So that is probably, let's see. Salutations, valued customer. Allow us to extort you, please. Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. Celine said, also, what is the hardest painting you think you have ever done? Where is it? I can't think of what's the hardest. I'm trying to think. I'm looking around my studio. I don't know if anything is the hardest. I mean, I'm using the same technique. I'm trying to think. Hardest. I can't think of anything that's the hardest. I mean, it was all at my current skill level, so nothing felt that difficult, I guess. I cannot think of anything off the top of my head right now. I'm just going to paint his little toes in white so I can put the yellow over it later. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. I mean, some of them were very time consuming. I would say the lion with the coral, which is my favorite, that one was extremely time consuming because there was so much detail. But I can't think of anything that was really hard. Maybe my first portrait where I was like, I'm going to take this really seriously. I painted James Marsters as Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was probably one of my most difficult because it was my first time. Like, I just decided, I'm like, I'm bad at drawing people. I'm going to do it. I can make this happen. And I did. And the drawing took 16 hours. So maybe that one was, for me at the time, was the hardest. Not now, but most time consuming was probably the lion with the coral, Maine. You dust in the studio daily. Maybe different dusting supplies? You may want to check too, if you've got carpet, the dust is in the carpet and you may have to spend some serious extra time going over the carpet again and again. I don't have, I have an area rug, but I mean, I don't have carpet, so I'm definitely lucky there. But if your carpet is collecting a lot of dust, if it's an older carpet, that could certainly be the problem. Dusting any curtains, blinds. So and I only bring this up because this is my husband. My husband, when we moved, the amount of time I had to spend in that apartment cleaning the blinds, because he didn't know you had to dust those. I'm like, face palm, because he has his own room. It took me forever. Floorboards need to be dusted weekly. Well, for me, they're dusted weekly. There may be something in the room that you're not realizing is picking up and creating a lot of that dust. You need to figure out what that is. The carpet would be my next guess. Let's see. I'm scrolling up, sorry. Where were we? Yeah, maybe you need an air filter or filter out ambient dust. That may be a good suggestion too. I can't imagine dusting daily and still having dust. Like something's getting missed. Something, and if I had to guess, I would say maybe carpet or something that's behind something that's getting kicked up. There's something obviously is being missed. Jason said, Lisa, when you dip the brush in the paint, do you dip water in it first? Yes, I always do. Yes. My hummingbird looks very thick, but I also have a larger canvas. Yeah, I'm especially with the liner brushes, I'm always dipping first. Like when you see my arm go back here, I'm dipping in the water before I hit. Always, always. Good question. Celine said, were you using acrylics in the bouquet video you mentioned? I was. That was all acrylics. And I show you how to use a wet over dry technique on that one, so that one would be very helpful. PZ Cherokee said, I think your hardest piece was the tiger on colored pencil paper because you said you hated it so much you almost couldn't finish it. Yeah, that one was a challenge, but I had it done within like a week, so at least it wasn't hard. It was frustrating because I hated the paper, definitely. No, yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, it's definitely up there. Or the Derwent, when I tried doing the piece in Derwent, what was it? The Derwent, the ones I hate, Color Soft. I love a lot of Derwent products, not that one. They don't work for my technique. So Derwent Color Soft, that one was hard because it just couldn't do what I needed. Like those pencils can't do what I need them to do. So yeah, that was frustrating. But then again, that kind of goes almost to the frustrating. It was more frustrating than difficult. Casey said, oh my gosh, Lisa, the amount of times I burst up laughing because of one of your rants or something you say, I really hope I get to meet you in person someday. Me too. Celine said, what about your most detailed piece? Ooh, probably going to go back to that lion with the coral. Man, was that a lot. Or anything where I did a lot of coral is always going to be probably my most detailed. So, God, there have been a few of those. God, a lot of and colored pencil too. Yeah, any of the underwater stuff, that takes a lot of detail. JRM, I say JR, Junior M said, I'm an obsessive cleaner, no carpets. I have asthma. Thanks for your ideas. Didn't sound so, okay, good, because I feel like I'm being snooty. Because I would feel like somebody was being snooty if they said those things to me. So I get it. But I always think of it because like my husband, oh, I love him. He is a pig. God, is he that man a pig? Not so much anymore. He was earlier in our marriage. Like that was the only thing we really ever fought about was him not cleaning up after himself. And so I'm kind of thinking like what he did in his room. But I don't know why. Yeah, maybe an air filter to pick up the dust would be my next, in a good one. If it's that bad, you're going to need something industrial, like something good for an air purifier maybe that picks up that dust with a good filter. And maybe I wonder if you're just a home filter or apartment filter, maybe that needs to be cleaned. Maybe that's blowing stuff out. That may be something to look into too, because those are supposed to be changed. Like I think in my house, this one's every 6 weeks, every 3 months, 2 months. I don't know, more often than I would have thought. I didn't know they even needed to be cleaned or changed out that often. My Nest thermostat lets me know every so often. This is as far as we're going to get tonight, by the way. We're going to do glazing. We're going to finish this next week for sure. He's almost done. Next week's the make him look super realistic where we start. It'll be good. But the Nest thermostat will tell me, like, actually, I need to go get a new air filter now. They have to be changed a lot more than I thought they did. So I'm wondering if maybe that is just needing to be changed out more. If you're in an area that's that dusty, maybe it needs to be changed more often than you would think. So maybe that. Angel said, any remedy when you just wake up from a very vivid nightmare? Just water. I woke up to it and was life-changing. Nightmare. So it's interesting you asked that. So I suffered from night terrors, bad, and nightmares, and just waking up in an absolute panic was a big thing. I also get sleep paralysis. Dear God, does that suck. But what I do now, or what was the biggest change, we dropped the temperature in the house to 68 degrees when I sleep. And the only time it might be warmer is when I take a nap, but I use less blankets, so I'm not as hot. But if you get hot, this is weird. There have been studies, look into this. You're more likely to have nightmares if you're getting hot when you sleep. So dropping the temperature, if you have an air conditioner, is very, very helpful. That was the thing. That's the only thing that really made a difference. I tried things like they were like, you'll have good dreams if you eat a banana before bed. No. But my pants don't fit as well anymore, so there's that. None of that stuff ever made a difference. The only thing that made a difference is when we started keeping it really cold at night when I sleep. That, like, I've had a couple of nightmares, not much. I mean, it used to be a real problem. And I haven't had night terrors. I don't even remember the last time I had sleep paralysis or night terrors at all. Like, it's been so many years, but since the last time was actually when we lived with my in-laws and they kept their house warmer. Once we moved into our apartment, we started dropping the temperature a lot at night. Problem solved. Or maybe it was just living at my in-laws that was causing nightmares. That is rude and mean. I should not say that. My mother-in-law is very nice, and I'm grateful she let us live there. But it's a funny comment. That sounds funny, so we'll go with it. Let's see. Where are we? But as far as what to do when you wake up, the few times that I had nightmares, I look up random YouTube videos, Facebook, just trying to get it out of my head. Because if I fall back asleep, there have been times I went right back into that same dream. So I have to get like my brain somewhere else before I can go back to sleep. Let's see. Angel said, I looked up James Marsters and oh boy, he looked cute in Buffy. Yeah, he was, I was a bigger fan of Angel. I don't remember even, David something. But yeah, somebody had suggested, they thought in my portfolio, I needed to paint an actor, so it could show that I could paint portraits accurately to show off my skill. And I was like, but I can't do portraits. That's not my thing. Like, I can't do it. He's like, well, I need you to do it. All right, because he was my manager for 5 minutes. So some art gallery in Vegas. That didn't go through. I think he got fired. But anyway, that was what encouraged me. And I'm like, that's it. Okay, I'm going to do this. I've always been terrible at people. I'm going to make it happen. And I did. It's like I said in my head, like, I can do this. I'm going to make it happen. And it took me 16 hours to get that drawing, the line drawing perfect. And I freehanded that. Freehanded it right on the canvas. Dear God, did I erase a lot. And one of the things, if you look up on my website, that painting I think is still on my website. It's the oil portrait of James Marsters. I've also done him in graphite as well. But that's why I chose him, somebody who would be very well known at the time that show was super popular. So I painted that. And one of my biggest complaints, and this is one of the reasons that I like to, even if I want to freehand, I'm going to freehand it on another piece of paper and then project it onto the canvas so I can position it exactly where I want. His head is too close to the top of the canvas. He should be down a little bit, but I was not going to start over and redraw that. So it's like, it's fine. I'm leaving it how it is. But yeah, that was that one. Celine said, coral seems really hard. How long does it take you per coral? So it's not hard. It's time consuming. Big difference there. Coral is just very detailed. It may take me, it depends on what medium I'm working in. Let's say I'm working in acrylics. I may spend an hour on a clump of coral, maybe 30 minutes. It depends on how big the coral is, how much is in it. But it's not hard because it doesn't have to be exact. You can be kind of messy. You don't have to have it perfect. It still looks like coral, but it's just tons of slow detail is really what it is. So it's more of a time-consuming thing, not a difficulty thing. Let's see. Lourdes D said, any experience with non-toxic replacements for odorless mineral spirits? The ventilation in my painting area is just a tiny window, so I'm looking to remove as many toxins as I can. The ones that were non-toxic caused more of a reaction to me than anything else I've ever used. I've never had a reaction from odorless mineral spirits. That may not be true for everybody. I cannot give you medical advice there. Use common sense. But I never had a problem with odorless mineral spirits with either, and I only use either Gamsol or Mona Lisa odorless paint thinner. Those are my two that I use. Never had a problem. They don't cause headache, and everything causes a headache for me. No problems whatsoever. I tried using the natural ones. Oh my God. Like the brushes I used them in, anything from the natural terpenoids were a problem. The lavender, there was a natural non-toxic lavender. Just because something's non-toxic doesn't mean that it's healthy to breathe or healthy to be around. The odor, the head, severe headache. My lungs start, like my throat, like right in here, felt like it was closing off. Like my body's like, we don't want to breathe that crap in. Then the reason I bring this up is don't think that because something is listed as non-toxic that it's going to be safer for you. I couldn't breathe. It was non-toxic, but I couldn't breathe. Or I can use my Mona Lisa odorless mineral spirits that cause zero problems for me. So my palette completely somehow is not really on camera. Oh no, I guess it's there. Sorry, just squirrel. But I get so distracted. Anyway, the point is, it's not a guarantee that because it's non-toxic. Now, what you may want to do, the Gamsol, it costs more. You get a much smaller amount. It's supposed to be less toxic than the Mona Lisa odorless paint thinner. I've not really looked into it. I don't know how much less toxic, but that is a claim that I've heard from people. So that may be something to look into. But a lot of the natural stuff, I have only had problems from or not only, because I've actually had problems with a few other things too, different paint thinners students had brought into class. But the natural ones that I personally tried caused me so many problems that I can't, it just had to get disposed of. So no for me. Let's see. Angel said, thank you for this session. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. That just jumped. Celine said, how is your sleep paralysis? What do you see? Mine was, so I sleep with my eyes open because I like to be creepy, apparently. I've done it since I was a baby. I don't know why I do it. It used to scare the crap out of my mom. She's got some stories, but my eyes will just open up when I'm sleeping. So now I'll sleep with a mask on, and that definitely helped because when I open my eyes, I'm no longer seeing the room. Like I would see the room I'm in my dream, but I couldn't move. And so if I was sleeping on my side, back when my back was not so messed up, I could sleep on my side, but I would see like my fingers and my hands, and then I would see somebody walking past in my apartment that wasn't supposed to be in there, and I couldn't move and I couldn't scream or somebody standing over me, but I could see the apartment. So I didn't know it was sleep paralysis at the time. Whenever it was happening, I wasn't aware. I thought someone was in there and I just physically couldn't move. So those were kind of the more common thing for sleep paralysis. I had a few stories like that. Yeah, it sucked. And it was usually, I guess, so my biggest fear would be somebody standing over me, because I used to have that happen a lot with the night terrors, somebody standing over me that wasn't there. So that, yeah, because I can see the room because my eyes are open, but I'm still technically dreaming. So it's like what's happening in real life was mixing in with the dream. Oh, hello, Gibson. Oh, it's my puppy. You can't walk tonight. It's raining. I'm sorry. I know. So yeah, that was what I experienced. It wasn't fun. The sleep mask helped though, because no longer was my dream mixing with the room around me. So I think that probably definitely helped things. Casey said, my new favorite quote. Oh, my husband. My God, is he? Yeah, he's like, we've had the like pretty easy marriage. Like we just get along really well. That is the thing that drove me crazy. But he's not like that really so much. No, I take it back. The chicken room is a mess. There's a reason I don't film in there too often. He needs to sweep the seat off the floor more than he does. But anyway, in this house, it's different because like if I leave something on the counter now, he's really getting more like I am. So he'll look at the thing I left out and look at me, look at the thing, look at me, like, you can put that away. So, which is hilarious because that is not how he used to be. Let's see. Monica said, sorry I'm late. Mom says hi. She's not feeling good, but wanted to let you know she loves you. Oh, I hope she feels better. Go make her soup. And tell her that it's from me. Like, I want you to do the work, but tell her it's from me. PZ Cherokee said, does the spike drawing break copyright for you? So it's considered fan art. It's not, yes, it does. It technically is a violation of copyright. So the company who did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they absolutely could go after me if they wanted to. However, you have this weird area, kind of gray area when it comes to fan art, where most of the time, if you're not selling and making prints of it, they don't really care. You're promoting their company by like, it's fan art is all it is. It's mine. I have it. It's in my closet. Like, it's not for sale. So yes, that, I'm trying to scratch my back without hitting the mic. But yeah, so technically yes, but it is fan art, not selling, not making prints. It's just like, hey, look what I can paint. But if they ever asked me to take it down, I absolutely would. They have the right to do it. But like, did James Marsters himself see one of those and commented? God, it's been so many years, I don't even remember. But it was like on Twitter or something, and didn't care. So I thought it was cool, but that was about it. I think he did, but I'm not positive. Like, I didn't look into, like, was that a blue check mark? I don't remember now. If it was his. I got an itch on my shoulder blade, and it is making me crazy. Let's see. What do you use to erase on your canvas? So a white eraser, like this one would work. And actually, I'm going to use that now. This one's a Derwent. I'm going to wipe it first on my jeans, because if it has any like colored pencil marks or something on it, some of that can come off onto your canvas, which I don't want. So we'll just do that. And now I can use that and go around and erase my initial lines, which hopefully are dry now. And that is it. But that is what I typically use. This one's by Derwent. It doesn't have to be Derwent. Just any like little white eraser or gum eraser would work. A kneaded eraser works. Any of that. Try to think. Yeah, it's just any eraser is fine. Now, if the eraser won't, I have had times where for some reason that didn't want to erase. What was it I did recently? I can't remember. It was an underwater scene and it did not want to erase. So I took just water and kind of scrubbed it out. Oh, the sea turtles, like my favorite. That is one of my, when we talk about favorite paintings, that's probably my favorite now. I always forget about that one because it's kind of newer and I need to make prints still. But anyway, with the sea turtles, that one, I drew them out and I had the turtles up too high and I had to drop them way down. Like I screwed up the proportion. Everything needed to be readjusted. It didn't want to erase for some reason. And so I had to take a paintbrush with water and scrub it out. So Arwa said, I regularly paint birds and generally paint for a hobby. Do you know how I can get any feedback or advice on my work, constructive criticism, painting abilities? I'm self-taught. You can post in our art groups. We have one on MeWe and we have one on Facebook. The links are in the video description. That would probably be a good start. Our group only allows criticism or constructive criticism if it's asked for. So make sure when you post that you ask what advice that people might have for you, but you can get some good advice from artists there. Let's see, a few more questions and we'll wrap this up. I have to go convince or break it to Gibson, who I don't think really understands we're not walking tonight. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Is it still raining? Maybe it stopped. I don't hear rain. Yeah, that's not happening tonight, Gibson. I'm sorry. You are going to drive me insane for the rest of the night, aren't you? Celine said, also, the bokeh background I'm doing is also on canvas, but it's easier with canvas panels with a bit of texture. This is my first time using canvas because I hate it and would rather use, I think it cut off. I have no advice. I'm sorry. Gail said, what you had was called hypnote. I can't say it. I have it too. Well, it sucks as much as trying to pronounce that word for me. I'm sorry you have it. It's no fun. Jason Ellis said, Lisa, wow, sleeping with your eyes open, that must suck. Yeah, they're dry. My eyes, even if the sleep mask helps, but I wake up with my eyes super dry to where it hurts to blink and open them all the way. Oh, I don't like it. I would not recommend sleeping with your eyes open. I have to, like, when I shared a hotel with my friend, we did Aquashella this time last year. And I have to warn people, like, just so you know, I sleep with my eyes open, not on purpose. I don't want to be a freak, but I'll fall asleep with them closed and they somewhere along the line open up and dry out completely. And that's how I sleep. So it's weird and creepy. Angel said, I get paranoid top when something made a sound inside the house after listening to home invasion creepypastas and YouTube. Oh, I can't watch those. Oh no, my husband will watch different the creepypasta stuff. I can't do it. I work myself up way too much. Monica said, I will. I don't know what that was in reference to. I'm sorry. Have you ever painted or drawn buildings? Yes, I have done both. I don't love doing man-made stuff as much. It's more like you have to be more precise because those lines are straight. With wildlife stuff, I'm like, yeah, close enough. It's a little wiggly. It's okay. I had too much coffee. My hand's shaky. No problem. With buildings, like it's more, you have to be a little bit more precise on stuff. You actually have to understand perspective a little bit more, I think. Like it takes more measuring of like there's actually formulas on getting your building. So like when you're looking down, where the windows go to keep it even to where there's a lot involved. And yeah, it's I've done it. It's not my favorite. I didn't enjoy it as much. I love the end result. I just was kind of like, okay, that's not something I want to do every day. Casey said, wait, extremely important question. Can you remember things you say when you were sleeping with your eyes open? No, not at all. And I don't know, or things you saw, not say. I was going to say, I don't know if I still sleep talk or not. No one said anything for a while, but me and my husband have our own rooms because he snores loud. But things I saw, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'll wake up like I'm explaining how I saw the person walking across. Like I remember it completely when I wake up. Yeah, it's unpleasant. Well, no, wait, I take that back. When I have the sleep paralysis moments, that I remember. But as far as like my eyes being open when I'm just asleep, like normal asleep, no, that I don't remember seeing anything other than whatever my dream was. Like I'm not aware they're open other than I wake up and my eyes are super dry. Let's see. Celine said, so excited to check out that video. Sorry for grammar. Someone explain what's a creepypasta. Oh, also, sorry, missing space. Also, can someone explain what's a creepypasta? Let's see. Good. Monica said she'll make ma's soup. Good. But you tell her it's from me. That's the thing there. You don't get credit for it. You make it, but make it good. Make it extra good and tell her it's from me. Let's see. Rose said, have you ever seen a photo of cassowary? I don't know what that is. PZ Cherokee said, wow, body pains, no junk food, sleep paralysis, and dry eyes. Thank you for always being so fun and right on our live streams, despite all that. You know, things can be worse. Those aren't that big of, like, I can deal with all of these things. Yeah, the no junk food is my hardest thing right now. I really want chips. I have not had chips in months. I love chips. Casey said, that's funny you mentioned sleep talking. I have conversations with myself in my sleep. I used to sleep talk a lot and I used to sleepwalk a lot. And I know I don't sleepwalk anymore. I don't know if I still talk in my sleep. I want to say when we first got married, my husband said I was occasionally talking, but I don't, because we did share a room. He didn't snore as bad. Actually, so funny side story. I'm running late. We need to see, I'm running late because I don't have a walk to go on. But when we first got married, my husband, Where was I going with that story? Oh, so he didn't believe me that he snored. And this is before cell phones. I didn't have an easy way to record him. And he snored bad. And so he insisted, because we'd never stayed the night together before. So the first night we stayed in a hotel, like the hotel that we got married in. We stayed in a hotel, like they had put 2 different beds in for us. I know we did the good kid thing at that point. But I slept in the room. He didn't snore at all. Next day, family comes, we get married. We got married on Catalina Island. On this cute little, same balcony that my parents did. So we want to do everything like them. So we get married on this little balcony, super small wedding. That night he snored like crazy. And next day I'm like, you snore? No, I don't. Yeah, you do. He insisted. This went on for, I don't know, 2 years, insisting he did not snore, that he would know if he snored. You snore, dude. You snore loud. And as he got older and gained more weight, the snoring got worse. But he insisted he did not snore. You don't know how long it took me to convince him. He snored and passed other airs from his body. He insisted he'd have to be awake and make effort to make that happen. He broke me from sleeping with my head under. I used to sleep with my head under the covers so that I couldn't see things, because go back to the sleep paralysis and all that. I just, as a kid, had grown up and gotten used to sleeping with my head under the covers. Yeah, he broke me at that real quick. I do not sleep with it. Yes. So anyway, gross. Let's see. A couple more questions we've got. Angel said, like Chris Dunlap's cars. Yes, his are very exact and very precise, and I cannot do that. I guess I can. I don't have that level of patience or skill to keep my hand that straight. Like, I actually started following Chris years ago. Someone had linked it. I think it was Cynthia Jones, linked his stuff to me. She goes, you need to see how he does the pinstriping, the stuff. Because I'm like, watching that, I was just like, yeah, I can't do that. My hand is not that steady. Not to do these long straight lines. Like, me and straight lines are not we are not a happy couple. That's for sure. Let's see. Gail said, sorry, hypnagogy. I'm not remembering that. Sleep disorder with hallucinations, tactile, audio, and voices. Head explosions. It's horrible. I think you just made it sound even worse than what it is. Vladimir said, just getting into digital art, Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator. I use Photoshop because I like the Photoshop brushes that I got from Aaron Blaze, who I cannot recommend enough. He has great lessons for Photoshop, learning digital painting, and he's got some amazing brushes that I love. Let's see. Photoshop is a lot slower than Illustrator on my computer. Oh, I don't know there. That sucks. I know digital art, it takes a lot out of the computer, that's for sure. The cassowary is a beautiful 6 foot tall Aussie bird. Oh, I need to look into that guy. I like birds. Giant chicken. Angel said, see your next session, Lisa. Keep safe. And Gibson and Wade, bye. Bye, Angel. Thanks for joining us. Casey said, my dad snores very loudly. I'm surprised my mom hasn't kicked him out and made him get his own room. I slept on the couch for years. Like, one of my goals in life was to have my own room and a bed. Like, I was thinking about that the other day, or joking with my mom. I'm like, how funny is it that one of my absolute goals in life was to have a grown-up bed and not sleep on a futon as a kid, because that's what it was, futon on the couch in my apartment for years. Even before we moved to Texas and California, it was the same thing. I slept on the futon in the couch or in the living room. Sleeping in that room. Well, I couldn't sleep with a room. It was too much. Let's see. When SGWW said, I used to talk to Cookie Monster in my sleep, like interaction with the TV. Oh my gosh. Mama said, my husband is the same way. JVC13 said, bet your husband loves how you expose him on live on the internet. Oh no, my husband's the type where if you point out, like, husband, your crack's showing, he pulls his pants down further so everyone sees all of his butt. Like, he would not be embarrassed at all. Let's see. Chris said, lions get steadier as coffee increases. That's funny. Ellen said, my husband's first denied snoring. Then after a while being married and gaining a bit of weight, he's admitted to hearing his snoring while sleeping. Oh, there's no doubt he knows it's bad because he wakes himself up with it all the time now. And now we know he was diagnosed with central and obstructive sleep apnea. So yeah. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining. Thanks to Joseph and Nick, who are probably like, please wrap this up, for moderating. They make it so chat is not a nightmare of sleep paralysis. So thank you again. We will be working on this. We'll finish him up next week for sure. And then coming up after that, I know I want to do a couple of smart art boxes. I have a stack of smart art boxes I haven't even opened, which is like, we need to do some projects. We've got that. And then I need to do some critiques. I've had so many requests lately to do some critique videos. I also have had requests to do critiques of your websites. So that's another thing coming soon. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I will see you Friday at 1 p.m. We are going to start a multi-part, hopefully not more than 2 or 3 sessions, colored pencil with pumpkin and a kitten, and it's adorable. That is Friday. I'll see you guys then. Bye.